That's pretty good. Well, everybody, it's time to begin. I'm sure you guys know how our grades look. We've been doing, usually Scotty has been doing a crap ton of tier lists with me. But just in case that you don't know, we have a grading system from A to F. 8 being the best bombs in the set, just something you're gonna completely change your draft for a lot of times. Just warp the game around themselves, or such good build arounds, such good tempo tools that they can take over the game in the early game, or if you build your deck a little bit differently. The B grades, everything in B is either overstated creature for its mana cost, or undercosted removal, undercosted something. It's basically undercosted cards. You would expect to pay more for these kind of effects. It could be a simple card like a creature with a lot of stats. It could be something complex. C, that's gonna be most of your deck. It's gonna be, C minus would be something like a filler. C plus would be a pretty good card to have in your deck, but not quite there to be one of the better picks in the format that most Bs would be, since As are reserved for just a couple of cards in the format. These are gonna be your filler cards. We're gonna have some in this set. Some there's more cards that look like filler to me in this one, since it is a little bit more fundamental core setty. Not like old core sets, but also not as high power level as the limited that we have been getting in the last couple of years. But yeah, every deck, most of the decks, just you need to have some Ds in your deck. If you have a lot of them, something went wrong, or maybe you got a couple of As, couple of bombs, and you're fine having a weaker deck to play some game warping cards. Fs are basically unplayable cards. These are ones that we think you should never put in the deck. They are usually not worth a full card. Maybe it's 2-for-1 for the opponent while you're playing. Maybe it's just losing your tempo too much, losing your card advantage too much. So yeah, don't play these. Maybe it's a build around for constructed. That's gonna be a lot of it. We have the pluses and minuses, just so it's because a lot of cards are gonna be in B, C, and D, so it's easier for us to grade. And then we also have sometimes ceilings if we think card is a crazy good build around, but not always good in a deck, and we put something there like a higher grade, so you guys can maybe think about it when you see the card. Also, when we are doing the multicolor cards, we are going to be having two grades. One grade is going to be, this one for multicolor cards, like one grade is like how highly we think we are taking the card before we know we are in the color. And in color grade, on the right, we are going to do it together, average it out, is going to be the grade when we know like that we are Azorius. Okay, a lot of Azorius cards just go way higher in how high you pick them. But some of these multicolor cards, you just take them and you're in those colors. And that's about it. Sometimes if you're drafting best of 3, if some cards are really good in the sideboard, we might give it a sideboard just an X, not a grade, just so you think about taking those. That's about it. And let's begin.
So Fleeting Flight, 1 white, instant, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. It gains flying until the turn, prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to it this turn. This is an interesting, like, this is tough because we don't have any like real experience to draw from this. I don't think that's a similar card that only prevents combat damage. It kind of does a lot of things though. It's going to weaken combats. It's going to make your creature flying to like just give you reach, and also permanently pump stuff. There is like a +1/+1 counter type theme. There's some cards that give you extra value when your creatures have counters. I don't know, like this is just kind of it's hard to say because the combat damage thing. I first read this just prevent damage to it, and I was like, oh, that's cool. You can save your thing for a lot of times it will. This is the kind of card, not to go on a tangent, but if you're burst lightning at 2/2 in the middle of a game, because this card exists, maybe you want to do the full kicker just to make sure the creature dies. But I would give this card just like, I'm probably in my white aggressive decks. I'm relatively okay with the first copy, and almost never want to play the second copy. So I don't know. This is kind of just a D to me. I'm not going to be unhappy when I don't have it, but it could be better than that. I tend to personally underrate combat tricks. But this one just seems like it does a lot, but a lot of stuff that doesn't really fit that well together.
It is just one mana, right?
Yeah.
And there
One
is
mana.
counter plus and counter team, which matters. So
On your
I think it's fine. Like you gave it just a D, right?
Yeah, just it's in the Snakeskin Veil category. I think it's worse than Snakeskin Veil. Like, we can agree on that, I believe.
For aggressive
because
decks, I think it's better than the Snakeskin Veil because you can just keep attacking later. With
In aggressive decks, yes, but in like a traditional deck where you're trying to save your bomb, whatever,
Yeah.
this doesn't do that. So they're different, but they're like in terms of how I would.
I
Also, like, it seems like the like this is going to be a lot better. Like when it's going to win you a race, right? Like you fly a big creature and deal them the last 5 damage or whatever. The aggro decks, the white aggro decks, seem to be more token focused to me, which makes a card like this that only grows your creature by 1 counter or whatever, or 1 power or whatever, a lot worse, because it's not necessarily going to win every combat. Like, you're going to have 4, your 2/2 gets into combat with a 4/4, and this does nothing. So,
yeah, there is gonna be that.
It's just a bit underwhelming to me. I don't know. The impact can be very, very high, but in a lot of games, I feel like it's
Also
not
push for lethal sometimes. I think it's a really nice trick, but it's not important to get it. Like, we've had the +1/+1 hex, choose a protection from color. What's the name? Feet of Courage, something like that. +1/+1.
Feet of Resistance.
Feet of Resistance.
Yeah. For 2 mana. Yeah, that card. Yeah, that card was good. That card was super versatile.
Yeah, that was like the trick.
Yeah.
And basically every other
made it like impossible to lose a combat, and you could save your creatures from removal. This doesn't do that second part.
And it can be unblockable as well.
Yeah.
So it's not the same thing, and that's like the trick that I like to mention when I'm like, okay, that's the high pickable trick, and basically every other trick is quite lower than that one. It's
because there's diminishing returns, right?
Yes.
You can get as many, like, this, like I said, the second copy is going to be so much worse than the first of this. So you don't really want to take them very highly. It's not that the card necessarily plays out terribly. It's that you're going to get this card if you want this card, because not every white deck's even going to want this card.
It's similar like big creatures like 5 drops and 6 drops. If they're not incredible, you can't take too many. Same for the tricks. Like I picked this as a D+. This is just a D+ for me. I think it's a very nice trick. Like D+ for me is a very, very nice trick. But as Siggy said, diminishing returns. You take one, you take the second one. If you take them too highly, then at one point, if you get any more, you're like, okay, I don't care about this. I'm just gonna put it in the sideboard. So you're kind of losing picks. And that's true for most people, right? So after somebody takes 1 or 2, they're gonna pass the other tricks. So you should see tricks kind of late, unless they're Feet of Resistance, because you can just play a ton of those and it's gonna be great. So yeah, just a D+.
Yeah,
which is a pretty good grade for a trick.
I don't know what to think anymore, man. Of this one.
What, you don't know what to think about a Healer's Hawk?
I don't know. Yeah, you're.
Because I'm hyped about it.
I think you're gaslighting me into wanting to play with this card.
I just love the card. It's fine if you don't like it. Yeah, Healer's Hawk, 1 mana, 1/1 flying lifelinker. There's a common pick in the set. A long time ago, not so long, like.
Honestly, like I'll be serious with you. I have a little bit of PTSD from this card because I registered it for a constructed Pro Tour, where I based my whole deck was probably cost about $30, and yeah, I did not have a great experience at that. I did okay. I like cashed or whatever. I think I went like 5/5 or 6/4 in standard, but it was a struggle, and it was because my deck was playing Healer's Hawk. And yeah, ever since then, I've kind of sworn it off. Also, when this card was printed, it was the Guild set, Guilds of Ravnica.
Guilds of Ravnica, yeah. Oh, that's when it was first printed?
Yeah.
Huh.
So.
I thought it was printed somewhere before, but okay.
No. There's been a lot of similar versions. There's been Suntail Hawk and Rustwing Falcon and stuff like that. But this is, I think, the first time the 1/1 lifelink was in, the Ravnica set, and it was horrible. But that was more because of color imbalance than most other things. Like white was just not playable. This was maybe part of that reason.
Well, I love it, and there is a +1/+1 thing. There's a common +1/+1 4-drop, so you kind of like having a good amount of things to play earlier. 4 mana 2/3. We're gonna get to that soon. That gives +1/+1 counters to 2 different creatures other than it. There is a pick in the set. I think there is great support in the set. There's some lifelink support in the set. Do you care about lifelink?
Yeah.
So
There's a life gain theme. There was something else. There's the flying thing, which is a small thing, but it is a thing.
there's a flying small thing, yeah.
Well, the eagle, like flying creatures matter type deal. There's equipment. There's like the gold veins. There's a lot of like synergies with it,
Especially for a 1/1 flyer. I love it, and I am gonna be on a C+, which is great for a common. That's a great, right? We've been giving us some B minuses. This has been multicolored uncommons. Like C+ is a highly picked and highly sought after common creature.
Ham's in my chat saying you'd give it a B.
I'm not gonna give it a B, man. It is gonna be a B minus in some decks when I get those picks.
He's just overcorrecting for my hatred for.
No, C+ is a lot. Like that's like one of the best commons.
I would give it a. My initial impression was a C minus. Maybe you've talked me into a C or something. But yeah, I think there's a lot of small things that go along with this that make it kind of a nice setup card for all of the white archetypes, which is good. It's probably, especially in best of one. I don't want to like beat a dead horse with this.
Yeah.
Where it's a lot more important and a lot better to spend your mana as much as possible, which includes playing a card on turn 1. Where when you end it like in the other games, like best of 3, when you end up drawing 2 or 3 more lands than you would in a typical game of best of 1, and you'd much rather have a spell that has impact than it's a 1 mana vampire Nighthawk has been called. That's how you could put it, damn. But yeah, I'd give it a C.
You got a C? Okay.
Yeah. C plus isn't bad. Like I could see that. Right now though, it's going to be a C for me. I'm not going to like get too excited about drafting healers Hawk stacks, but that may change.
I think this is gonna be a B minus in the right deck, and just with common support.
Yeah.
That's the huge thing.
There's gonna be decks where it's very synergistic, and it's gonna be one of your best cards because it's gonna set everything up in your deck, right? It's gonna be your enabler for a lot of your deck.
I don't think it's jack of all trades. I think it works like in literally every deck. Like I think in every deck it is gonna be great. This might be.
It might be.
I think top 3 white common for sure. Top 3 white common.
Yeah, I mean, there's gonna be a lot of people who are gonna end up taking that over Banishing Light or something. I can definitely see that happening. It is not gonna be me though.
What about the next one? This one is.
What did we give that one? I didn't put it in. I don't know if you did. Let me put it in there. What was the final grade on that? I gave it a C. You gave it a C plus.
C plus.
Yeah. Where is it? Oh, it's all the way down here. Heir Apparent. Or Hair Apparent, sorry. 2/2 for white 1. When this creature enters, create a number of 1/1 white rabbit creature tokens equal to the number of other creatures you control named Heir Apparent. You can have any number of these in your deck. I mean, it doesn't give you one off the bat, which obviously would be obscene and broken. If
that would be stupid, yeah.
You need your second copy before you get your first token.
That would be the best white common. The best common.
It's just, I don't know, filler at best. Like if you happen to get a bunch of them, it's a little better. But like, I don't even want to play a deck with 2 of these, right? Like,
it's a 2/2 that does nothing, right?
Yeah, it's just you evaluate it as a Glory Seeker, just a 2 mana 2/2, and then Like, I'm not sure I want to fill my deck. Like, if I had 7 of these, would I want to play 7? I don't think so. Like, that doesn't even sound exciting.
I mean, 7 sounds
Or
kind of
one.
exciting.
Does it? I mean, I guess if you're doing the whole inspired charge overrun thing, if you're looking for that angle, it'll be a lot better. But if you're not, then I don't know. It's just, this is one of those things that I think people are going to make a big mistake trying to chase.
Yes, yes.
They're going to try to chase this dream, and it's the payoff is not like, even when you get there, you're not going to be that happy with what happened.
Yeah,
That's the way I see it.
Like the problem with the payoff is it needs to be on the battlefield.
Exactly.
That's the problem. The payoff, if it's in the graveyard, that's good.
Yeah, then we're talking. Then it's a completely different story.
How does this stay on battlefield? What, you're dying? You die to get another 1/1 or 2?
I don't know. Yeah, it's just if you need a 2-drop desperately, this is probably worse than the campus guide we talked about. Anyways, and it's I'm gonna give it a. It's not an F, but it's a D- for me.
Yeah, I mean, if you really need 2-drop in today's limited, it would be an F. But I think there are some like random 2-drops that are not very, very good. I look at this card as 2 mana 2/2 most.
In Dustmorn, I would have given this an F for what it's worth. Like
yeah, for sure. In the last few years, 2/2s with no text are not good. And this basically the text of this is most families have trees. He has an entire forest. That's the text on this card, and it's just a D-. It's funny how like vanilla creatures became an F, but vanilla creatures were literally the D. The D. That's when the tier list, when I started doing the set reviews, what was 2 mana 2/2 with no text was a D. Because you had to have some in your deck. That was like the filler card, right? That's the filler card.
Yeah.
You don't care about it, but you gotta have them. It's not that the power level switched in, now 2 mana 3/3s are what you're playing. 2 mana 2/2s are fine, but I need to have some synergy something.
Yeah, exactly. 1 second, my wife just. Yes, honey, I'm still doing this. Be done in a few minutes. All right, go ahead. He just comes in, hello, you know. Like, what are you doing?
I didn't hear her at all.
Yeah, no.
Can you read the next one?
Yeah. All right. Next one. Helpful Hunter. Oh, this is we've had this one quite a bit. When this Helpful Hunter 1/1 for 2, when it enters, draw a card. This is a White Elvish Visionary, another version of it. This one's not an enchantment like the last one I remember. Solid card. I don't really know if there's that much. So we had that blue-white thing that blinks. This is, I guess, a card you could utilize with that. But
the mythic.
I don't know like how good an Elvish Visionary is going to be in this set. There are some X1s like the Wary Thespian and stuff, and like which kind of this card kind of embarrasses. But this card's you're always going to play this card. You're never going to cut it. But
what if you're aggressive? What if you're aggressive? Like, you don't want this.
I guess that's true if you're aggressive enough. It depends on what you're trying to accomplish, how you're trying to, like, if you're triple heroic reinforcement stack, you're going to be much more excited about this. But yeah, like, it depends what you mean by aggressive and what your plan is, because it doesn't, like, the aggressive decks in this format don't seem to be typical curve out with high statted creatures and combat tricks and stuff. It doesn't seem to be like, that's not what white red's going to look like. White green, this is probably not great, but it's not bad. White blue, you'll be pretty happy to play this in white blue, I think, because you're going to just be looking to add to the board and play flyers. It's not going to be your best card or anything, but it's better than filler 2-drops, right? So I don't know. I think my overall rating for this would just be like a C, probably a C, maybe a C+.
I'm okay with a C. Like, if we get to if there is a white deck that is kind of grindy,
white black might be like
maybe
that.
white black, maybe cares about sec and stuff. This gets better, but if you're just like straight up wanna attack, this is really not what you wanna do with your 2-drops.
Yeah, exactly.
So C would be much better in a color like green, blue. There's some.
Oh, you mean a different color? Yeah. If this was a blue card or something, yes, it would be a lot better.
Something cares.
Basically, any other color, it would be a lot
Yeah,
better.
black. Yeah,
Green and red.
yeah, any other color. Well, if that deck exists, this is gonna be great. If you're just gonna be aggro most of the time with white, which I think is what's gonna happen, you're gonna be aggro. Then it's gonna be quite worse. So C, just C.
Yeah, straight C for me.
Can I do the next one? I'm kind of trying just to do something.
Yeah, we got Cathar Commando, 3/1 flash. You can pay 1 mana, sacrifice this to destroy an artifact or enchantment. Solid 2-drop hits hard. This is the kind of card that the last card embarrasses, is what I was saying. Like when you want to be a little bit more defensive with your 2-drop, and there's a lot of X1s in the format, the Elvish. This is going to hit pretty hard. There is a lot of tokens, which makes it a little more difficult to push this through. It is still a good 2-drop. Like you're going to want to fill this out. The flash part is the flash part of this card is not nothing. And as far as artifacts and enchantments, like we did the whole colorless thing. There's not that many artifacts we're going to want to kill with this, and I don't think there's all that many enchantments. Notably, there's like Banishing Light, but I don't really think there's that much other than that. This isn't like Dustmorn where we had enchantment creatures, right? We're back to normal magic with normal creature types and stuff. So I think this is mostly just going to be a 3/1 flash for 2 mana, which is solid. I think this is worse than the. I mean, obviously it's in different decks, and in aggro decks this is better than the cat, but it's in generally going to be worse. So I don't know. I'd give it a C- probably. I think I'm going to play this card every time. It's not quite a D where I'm not going to play it. I think I'm going to play. I mean, there's diminishing returns on it. I'm not going to play 7 copies of this, but I'm going to probably play 2, unless I get a lot of really good 2-drops. C- for me.
Yeah, C-. I have a problem with this card. It's what you said, like 1/1s. That's a problem. But enchantments, artifacts, this is not the. This would be kind of cool in Duskmourn, right? Where it would kill so many different things.
Creatures and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, for 1 as well, it would, like, the fungus was good. Fungus would not be that good in this set, I think. The problem I have is with +1/+1 counters, right? Sometimes, like, you really want, when you're putting +1/+1 counters on things, it's not like you want your creatures to have more toughness. You don't want this to be a 1/3, but you kind of want it to be a 2/2. So once it upgrades to the 3/3,
Yeah.
A lot of 2-drops cannot trade with it. And that's the problem that I have. But white deck doesn't have. It has this 2/2. That's it. So maybe this is gonna actually see more play than what I'm thinking. Because
Yeah, maybe.
like you said that the campus guide is better, but when you're putting +1/+1 counters, you really don't want 1 toughness. You know? So this card could actually just be like, that's what I play in white. So yeah, just a C- seems fine for this one, but I can see that we fucked up. That the 2/2 is gonna be better than this.
I don't know. The fact that this has flash and the utility of killing something, even if it's not going to come up every game, is, I don't know. There's equipment, right? Like this does kill.
Hey, there's a pick.
So I don't know. Yeah, I can't imagine including the first copy of that 2/2 over the first copy of this in my deck, even with +1 counter situation. Just think this card is going to be a lot more flexible, and that's going to be worth, filling that slot out. But they're comparable, right? Like.
Okay. I mean, we have this C-, that one a D-. So that's a huge difference in grades.
Yeah, the flash thing is the difference, in my opinion. The fact that this creature, you can ambush a creature with it and whatnot.
All right, we're gonna see. Next up, Dazzling Angel for 2 and a white. It's a flying angel for it's a 2/3, and whenever another creature you control enters, you gain 1 life. This is, I think, really nice for the flyer deck, right? It's like you can continue.
Yeah, this is just a solid creature, I think. Yeah, this is a solid 2-drop. Like well statted flying creature. Like it's able to block 2-drops, so when you're on the play, it's going to break off their attack for the turn, giving you some life, adding to your life gain synergies. Not that and that'll add up. You'll get 2 or 3 life from this across the game because you're not going to be trading this off that much. Ideally, you play this, you break off their 2-drops attack, and then you start attacking with it, right? And then it's just going to keep gaining life because it's not getting into combat because it's hard to block. So while it doesn't have lifelink, it's still padding your life a little bit, help you in races. Because generally you want your 3 mana creatures to have 3 power. This doesn't do that, but it does gain you life, so it's gonna help that race. I don't know. It's like a C for me, I guess.
C, but I could see this actually being a C plus. This is really nice with the
yeah,
counters as well. Like
it is true.
and it does. I could see this being important 3-drop, but the thing with important 3-drops is you can't play as many 3-drops as 2-drops. Not even close.
Exactly. It's a 3 mana card, so the value over replacement is just not high enough for me to put it any higher than a C plus. It's never going to be in the B category because.
But I love this in my flyer decks.
So I would have it as a C, but
C seems fine. I'm gonna give it a C as well. Because there's also another card, the next card. You can read it, and that also competes for 3 mana.
Yeah. So Inspiring Paladin is a 3/3 for white 2. During your turn, it has first strike, and during your turn, creatures you control with counters have first strike. So this card's great at attacking. It's pretty good at blocking. Doesn't have any ETBs. Doesn't necessarily play well with tokens, which is kind of a small theme of this. So like I think this is a solid 3-drop, but I don't think it is quite as good as other white 3-drops. I think this is a little bit worse than the Angel we just had because it's not evasive, doesn't really add to your synergies all that much. Like your stuff with +1/+1 counters in general should be hard to block. This is just kind of like I'm evaluating this like I would evaluate like Cult Healer or anything like that. That's just a 3/3 with a little extra juice for 3 mana. I'd say this is a C-, D+ in that category. Probably D+, I would give it.
I would say this is great. Okay. Right, so it's if you're aggressive, like this is basically impossible to block early game.
Yeah, it's tough to block on turn 3 or 4 when you're attacking with it. Yeah. No. After that, I think it's a little easier though.
First strike also gonna be better against tricks, and double blocks. Now that the damage has changed, the damage assignment.
Sure. Yeah. Does that come into effect immediately when the set's really? I don't even know when that.
They said they're gonna change it for foundations. I'm guessing it's gonna be at the start of the set, not in the middle of the set. But you never know. You never know. It's gonna be just like you're gonna be playing foundations at once. After 10 days, boom! Now everything things have changed. It's not everything. I just soon we are gonna get to the card for 4 mana that puts 2 +1/+1 counters on your things. You curve out that into the other card, and all of a sudden,
I don't remember the card you're talking about, which is maybe why this comes down. I know you keep talking about it, but I don't even remember what it is.
It's a reprint from M20 or M21, something like that. I mean, it is in the set, right? Yeah, it is in the set. It is in the set. Very good. It's kind of like not a reprint, but I think it's exactly the same card. So, man, I gotta give it a C. I can't give it a C+, I think, just because it's a 3-drop, right?
There's just too many, like the value over replacement is just not there in my opinion.
I could see this.
Well, I think it's the worst of them, but I haven't seen enough to necessarily, like I'd rather have the Angel, I think.
I think you're gonna see some. I think it's that you'd maybe rather have this one.
You said C. I said C-, D+.
Yeah.
I'll just give it a D+.
I'm gonna be on a C as well. I think we are gonna have to like the 2-drops in white are actually gonna be like both of them are gonna be somewhere in C range because you gotta have 2-drops. Like it's you gotta have them.
Well, it depends how many there are, right?
What?
It depends how many uncommon 2-drops there are. I haven't like done it.
Yeah, that helps, but still you're gonna have a lot of commons as 2-drops.
Yeah.
Prideful Parent. For 2 and a white, you get a 2/2 with vigilance. When this creature enters, create a 1/1 white cat creature token. That's nice. That's alright. There's a little bit of a cat support.
Yeah, I mean, it's Tunnel Surveyor, but it's in a slightly lower power format or whatever, which doesn't necessarily make it better. But there's like a bit of a go wide theme and stuff. This seems like the 3-drop I think you're going to want in your aggro decks more so than the other one, depending on what exactly you're doing.
And this also gives like 2 targets for that guy. That's true.
Yeah, you're gonna curve this into a lot of things. Like this is great with equipment. It's not as good as the first striker when you actually get things going, but this gives you 2 creatures to put equipment on, right? So if you start trading things off in a little bit more of a grindy game, you get more action out of that. I don't know. I like this. This is a C+ for me.
Wait, is there any cat support? Like, there's no cat support. What is the cat support? What creatures?
There's just tokens. There might be one random card that says cats. Oh, there's like a inspiring charge.
Inspiring charge, right? That's the cat.
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. That's the cat thing. There was one other card. I knew there was a card. Yeah.
Oh, it's like a +2/+2. Not +1,
Yeah.
2/1. That's kind of cool. I don't know. I'm also on a C with this. Man, all of these 3 drops are gonna be like C-, I think. You can't have all of them on a. You can't have all of them on a C, but I think they fit different decks as well. Like if you're going flyers, you want to the other one. If
I have a C-, and a C+, or actually I have a D+ on the one I think is the worst.
I guess putting them all on a C, they're nice, but you gotta like choose what you're doing.
Yeah.
But they're all gonna be fine. Also, like stacking those angels, that's kind of good. Just stacking the 2-3 angels again and getting a ton of life and killing them in the air.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I like both of these 3 drops better than that paladin thing that the 3/3 first strike. That's why it's downgrade. Like it's all an opportunity cost, right? You're playing that one, you're not playing this one.
Yeah.
You can only play so many drops. So
I think I'm gonna lower the grade on all of them, but for now, I'm okay with them being a C, because there's so many. Like you don't even have to pick them, right? You're gonna randomly get them.
Yeah, if you're open to what, yeah, if you have no preference at all, it's gonna be easy to fill out your 3 drop slot.
Exactly, like me.
Yep.
So what do you give this one? A C+?
I gave Prideful Parent a C+. I had you as a C.
I don't think there's much go white support. It's just the 4 drop that gives counters is real nice. Hey, you want to read
Vanishing
the next one?
White. White 2. When this enters, exile target non-land permanent and opponent controls until this leaves the battlefield. Oh, this is like, the premium white removal common. Always been good. I don't see why it would be any different here, especially in a lower powered, slightly slower format. I don't love enchantment-based removal because, it is a liability, killing their bomb and then them just, especially if it has ETB. There does seem to be a lot less creatures in this format, especially powerful creatures that have ETBs, which is pretty good for this. It's not as bad of a drawback when it does die. But this is to me is just like the definition of a B or a B. I'm going to take this over every white common every time because it's flexible. You're going to want this in every white deck, right? You get to evaluate the draft from there. You start taking Healer's Hawks or whatever over this to draft white in a certain way, and then you end up in a different direction. Also, you could splash this in green blue or something like that. To me, this is pretty much always going to be the best white common, not because it necessarily plays the best in every white deck, but because you want it in every white deck.
So the War 2 is gone, but there's also less enchantment removal.
It also hits everything.
Sorry, what?
Not that that's relevant. It hits everything. Not that that's relevant. Yeah, the other one only hit like artifacts, enchantments, and creatures.
Oh, really? No, in this set, in last set, wasn't it everything?
The last set, it didn't hit planeswalkers.
Okay, planes. Come on, who's gonna have planeswalker?
There was something else I thought. Yeah, certainly came up.
I'm okay with a B-.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't think it's the best white common.
Well, so if you open a pack and if you're allowed to start the draft with 1 white common and you don't know what your direction is going to be based on the context of the pack, that is why I take removal over everything. It's not because removal is the best. It's because it's always necessary, and it allows you to be flexible with your picks later.
I'm gonna take the 2/3.
If you know more about the sets, it's different.
I'm gonna take the 2/3 that I'm always talking about. That we're gonna get to at one point.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. That card, like I said, I don't think I've read it yet. So.
Yeah, I'm taking that one. Do you have to go? We can continue tomorrow.
No, I got. If you want to, let's get to your card first. It's two cards down, I think, right?
Yeah, it's the next card. Yeah, make your move is this one for 2 and white. Destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature with power 4 or greater. whatever. Sure, maybe in red green there's gonna be more things with 4 power greater. It's just a filler removal spell. I'm on a D. It's fine to put in the deck.
I mean, to me, this is like ideally I'm never putting this in my main
Yeah.
deck, but it is a great sideboard card, so I would give it that X designation you were talking about.
Sure, we can do
If
that.
you have to put it in your deck, it's not a disaster.
Not a disaster.
But like, really, like, what are you hitting with this? Like, it's going to be decent against Gruul. There's very few red creatures, very few white creatures. I don't know. Yeah, I'm basically never going to want to start this. So at least until the format like develops in some kind of meta, that maybe it becomes better or whatever. But I think it will go the other way. I think like Gruul will underperform rather than overperform and stuff like that. So yeah, this to me is just an X. I think it's a great sideboard card, but I'm not ever looking to main deck it. So if I had to give it a rating, I'd give it a D-. But
yeah, actually, like D- is probably fine. But I think I'm just gonna give it a D. We can give it a sideboard X. Yeah, it's nice in the sideboard. It is flexible, but the problem is like the things it's flexible with are not that present.
Important. Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's many enchantments you're really that worried about, or that many artifacts you're that worried about. So it's mostly just like a reprisal effect, as I call it. And in that vein, it's,
it feels like you're gonna be waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and then it's always like with these type of cards. Like you wait, and then you finally get something, and you're like, oh, nice, I can use it now. It's not like, oh, this is a good time to.
You just fire it off the first thing you see, and that's not really what you want out of a card. You want to,
Exactly. You don't even want to trade with that card with something. You're like, oh, I gotta kill this because maybe I'm gonna wait 5 more turns before I get some other target. Okay, next up, you can go. There's the card.
Two other target creatures. Yeah. That was my issue with this, is it can't hit itself. Yeah, I remember this. But yes, this plays really nicely with that other cat, like you said.
Wanna read it?
I did read this card. I just didn't. I was pretty turned off by the fact that so let's read the card. Felidar Savior, white 3/2/3 lifelink. When it enters, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 other creatures you control. So obviously, this is going to play best at the top of your curve because you want to curve out into it, so you get the maximum value out of it. It does have lifelink. Did the old one have lifelink? I don't remember this. I don't remember like what the old version of this card was. I must not have played that much of that limited set. I remember it, but only. So yeah, this is going to be great when you curve out into it. I think this is really good with all the 3 drops, right? We were talking about the 3. Like, obviously the cat's the best because it gives you the 2 targets in one. But putting counters on your flyer is great. Putting counters on the 3/3 or the creatures before it is great. I would be surprised if this is not the best 4-drop in white. But I don't know if I'm going to first pick that. Like, I'm still definitely going to take Banishing Light, I think, because the problem I have with this card is it's 4 mana, and there's a lot of good 4 mana cards in limited sets that gets very glutted at 3 and 4 mana. I would probably rate this card honestly, C+, I guess, because I am going to want this over generic filler, but I'm not going to give it the B enough. There's going to be some decks that just my curve isn't right or something. The creatures aren't good enough to put counters on, something like that.
So wait, what did you give it in the end?
C+.
Just C+. You're that worried about other creatures?
Yes. I'm worried that I'm not going to, like, you can't not being able to trade creatures and stuff like that. And it being undersized after the fact.
I'm not worried at all.
Because you're going to be playing Healer's Hawk. Your curve starts at 1.
Yeah, my curve starts at 1. Yeah. And it gets you. It's so this is like it's weird. Like, is this gonna be better with a 2/2 and a 1/1 because you get 2 creatures right away, or is this gonna be better with the 3/3 with first strike because now all of your previous creatures have first strike and they're kind of unblockable?
Yeah, that is a sick curve. You're able to do Healer's Hawk into 2-drop.
You don't even need 2-drop.
Into the you would ideally want to, so all your creatures have first strike. Right?
Yeah. I think this is maybe
like that. You're going to win almost every time because every single one of your creatures individually is a massive.
This just like it's.
I'm just worried about like cards like this. In my experience, when I play against them, I kind of laugh at them because I just go, either a creature on 2 or a removal on 2, and then definitely a removal on 3. Like I'll play one removal spell in the bottom part of my curve, and then it kind of breaks this card up and makes it inefficient at that point. It really weakens this card if they play a removal spell the first couple turns, unless you curve 1, 2, 3.
The thing is, like, when you have multiples of this, it's not a problem if you just continue stacking them on top of each other. It's great.
But yeah, that's true. Like, it's just going to, kind of snowball if you're able to keep.
It has lifelink as well, just for some reason. When this was in the set, it was a while ago. I think it was like the best common in the format. It was, I think it was the same card. I can't remember exactly. I think it was the same.
Itself?
Huh?
Didn't it target itself, that one? I can't remember the card, honestly.
No, there's no way it targeted itself. I know that there was a card that didn't target itself. Basri Acolyte from N21. Okay. It was a 2 white as well. I think that was the best common in the format. I mean, it's just like this does everything. There's a counter synergies, and it's not the end of the world if you're targeting only one thing. It kind of sucks that it would be much better if you target two things, but they're just like gonna propagate attacks so much and constantly that it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I think this is...
Yeah, it's a good card. It is a good card. I don't know if I put it in the same cat. Like, I don't know. I'm not gonna like... I'm not gonna be happy if I'm first picking this thing.
You know what I'm gonna give it? A B.
You're gonna give it a... Yeah, you're gonna give it a B, and I'll give it a C+. All right.
Look how you're saying that you're gonna go to B. Like, I'm pretty sure. So okay, is this like the card that we disagree about the most for now?
Sort of. Definitely the most relevant one that we disagreed about the most, I think.
Okay. Yeah. I wonder. Okay, this is the one that I'm gonna be looking out.
I'm gonna make a point here.
Yeah.
Both of these things can be true. This could be a B for you and a C+ for me, because of how
that is true.
How we evaluate other cards. If you're taking a lot more creatures than me, then this is going to be a much for me. So that is something that I try to drive home to people, that there is no like one way to do things. You need to like if you have a certain way of drafting and you're successful at it, you don't need to do things the way someone else does who's also successful. Like you can approach the drafting in a different way. I do think that this set will lean more towards your style than mine. I don't like, this isn't a set where I'm going to be drafting white control all that often, but it's possible, and I like to leave that open. Okay. I think I'm more likely to be wrong about this card than you. Put it that way.
Well, I by far prefer playing slow, grindy decks.
Yeah, me too.
By far. So, like, it's... Whenever, in most sets, when I'm like, unless you gotta be aggressive to win, I'm gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna test out all the aggro decks, like see what they're about, and then I'm gonna be, okay, can I switch? Can I find a way to play them rarely?
Yeah.
So maybe I'm not gonna be drafting this all the time. Maybe it's gonna be good in non-aggro decks. I can see that. But yeah, I hope I don't have to draft aggro decks all the time. I really like to have like a choice of what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, when the best commons look like this, if this is the best common, then it's kind of not a format I'm too interested in, because it isn't a flexible format, right? If you're just first picking this thing all the time, it's going to really change how you're drafting.
Yeah. That is true. That is true. That is true.
You're like, I'm only taking 2 and 3 drop creatures now.
That's not bad. That is definitely true. And but why doesn't have the greatest 2 drops is a little bit of a problem. The Healer's Hawk helps a lot. But,
it does, yeah. The Healer's Hawk looks great with this thing.
Right,
which is not a card I kind of glossed over this card because I only saw it once in packs, weirdly.
Your wife is calling you, right?
No, yeah, she's waiting for me in the car, I think, to go get the kids. So.
Oh, we are gonna continue tomorrow.
Yeah, we can finish this. We can finish the rest of this tomorrow, or at least get a good chunk of it done tomorrow. Same time. I
think we can if you don't talk about random things like we did today.
Random stuff.
I like talking about random things, but
me too. I like that.
So it's no problem for me. But if you want to hurry it out, you can say like, "Oh, let's focus on the tier list. Let's not talk about Pro Tour and previous sets and stuff like that." You can. Yeah. You can remind me, because I do like talking about different things.
I know. I love talking.
Yeah. And you're like super knowledgeable about it, so it's not a random talk.
Yeah, I'm all about it. If this takes a little longer, so be it.
Okay, well, go to your wife. We're going to start, at the same time tomorrow?
Same time tomorrow, 10 a.m.?
Sounds good. 10 a.m.
approximately.
EST.
We'll be way better set up tomorrow. All right, we got Squad Rallier. It's a 3/4 for white 3 with the activated ability white 2. Look at the top 4 of your library. You reveal a creature card with power 2 or less. You put it into your hand. And the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order. I don't know. It's like curve filler to me. It's got a mana sink in it, which is appealing. Depending on how the game flow is, if the format's super aggressive and the games are ending early, you're never going to activate this. If it's the game's if the average amount of turns is higher, this gets a lot more interesting as kind of a value generating creature. But in general, I would say it's just a curve filler that you probably won't play very often, especially with the card we just looked at. That's going to be your premier 4-drop in white. The Felidar Savior, yeah. So, yeah, I would grade this. I don't know, D probably. Just you'll put it in your deck sometimes, but hopefully you won't have to. That could go up, like I said, if the games are extremely slow. Then mana sinks are going to become a lot more valuable.
Yeah. It's whatever. It's so whatever. It's a 3 mana. It's a lot to pay. I guess the stat line is not that bad. Before in core sets, when you have effects like this, it's much worse. But yeah, I don't know. You have the premium 4-drop in the Savior. I think there are some others that are better. So does white need some late game like this? Doesn't feel like it needs it, but
I don't think that's what their game plan is. But
I guess maybe if you don't end up in a white deck that's pretty good at being asserting board presence, it could be alright. I want a D+ as well. It would be kind of, I guess, interesting if there was some white deck that goes for the grind, and then this doesn't feel like the best grind card, but could be interesting. Yep, just a filler.
The other thing is you don't really want to adjust the cards you're playing for this thing, right? You're gonna there's a bunch of 3-power creatures and stuff that you might want to play, and you're not gonna be able to find it with this. So it's just
yeah, you can't find another one of these. You can't find this 4-drop. You can find the other 4-drop that's better than this one, but I guess you're not always gonna have those. So yeah, just filler D+. It's alright.
Mm-hmm.
Next up we got Vanguard Seraph. For 3 and a white, it's a 3/3 flyer, and when you gain life for the first time each turn, surreal 1. Oh, only for the first time. I don't know, it's long time ago this would be like, wow, 3/3 flyer for 4. It even blocks the 3-drops because they're 2/3s. But doesn't feel like that's what's gonna be happening here. It is a 4-drop, so can't have too many of those in the deck. I guess it fits the flying archetype deck, right? You got the 2/3 flyer commons that gain you 1 life. You got the Hawks, so it kind of helps you. I don't know why it's once per turn. Would it be too powerful if it was more times than once?
It would be too slow, I think, is especially in paper or whatever. You go to your LGS and you make 2 tokens in a turn, you get 3 or 4 triggers. It would make slow the games down a lot. That is my guess as to why they limited the Surveil.
I mean, I don't know. They're adding so many dual-faced cards, so many cards that need counters, sagas and stuff, and in the last few years, and that takes a long time.
I agree with you. But this is Foundations, right? It's very basic. It's for beginners. So so they want to make things.
I think it's fine. I'm actually gonna give this a C-. I think it's okay in maybe even a C, probably C-. I think it's okay in that flyer deck where you do play the 2/3 flyers more often than not, and you play the Eagles, right? So I don't know. Surveilling once per turn is kind of nice.
I guess that the surveil once per turn is probably going to trigger close to once per turn on average, right? Given the way the white decks will look with the commons. I was thinking D+, but I think I'm with you. I think I'm gonna go down up to C-. When I read that text initially, it's kind of like, that'll probably trigger once or twice, but I think if this sits in play for 3 or 4 turns, it's going to trigger almost every turn with Healer Hawk and the way the white deck look like they're going to be. So I'm going to move it up to a C- myself as well.
I'm actually going to go up to a C because I'm going to be just.
I'm going to stay with C- basically because I'm sure there's white uncommons that are
if white doesn't suck, like
yeah.
I'm gonna be playing a crap ton of those healer hooks, and the 2/3 lifelink that add counters. So yeah, I
Yeah,
want to see.
exactly. A lot of the white cards have life gain built into them in some way, whether it's lifelink or the 2/3 flyer that
So
gives
C
you
seems
life when you
fine.
play.
C seems alright for it.
Yeah.
Going up. Just thinking, but there's that better 4-drop, right? So you
Yeah.
really won't.
Well, that's what I mean. It's got to compete. Like, it doesn't matter how good it is if it's not as good as the other white common 4-drops. It can't, like, it's not going to make your deck that much.
Yeah.
It's also competing with rares and uncommons that are filling that same slot, right? So that's why I'm giving it a C minus, as rather than I was initially going to say D plus, but yeah, it looks to be the second best common white 4-drop. Certainly better than the 3/4 that we just looked at.
I think the 2/3 is gonna be super high sought after, so I think you're gonna have to put a couple of one. I mean, you don't need to put any 4-drops in the deck, but I think it's gonna be fine to put 1 or 2 here. Alright.
All right, we got Armasaur Guide. It's a 4/4 for white 4. Vigilance. When you attack with 3 or more creatures, you put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. It's a 5-drop. It sometimes comes into play effect because you get to trigger it right away when you cast it. It's still a lot to ask to be attacking with 3 creatures and have it be, even with a +1/+1 counter, have it be profitable. I mean, to me, this is like it's very unlikely I'm ever going to put this card in my deck. Not ever, but it's going to make my deck, 5% of the time or something. It's a D minus for me. I'm not really interested in having ground creatures in my white deck that cost 5 mana.
Yeah, I really don't like this one. Like 5 mana 4/4 is bad, and then it only has effects on attacks, and these 3 creatures is so many.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be just
Vigilance is a bit upside, but yeah.
Yeah,
there's Story Angel in this set, and that's going to be way better than this.
There's what? There's what?
Sarah Angel.
Yeah, it's an uncommon.
Yeah.
So super whatever. I'm just gonna give it a D though. I'm probably D minus. Yeah, just give it a D minus. This is so hard to activate. Even in a core set, this is too slow. And too weak.
Yeah.
Like, you really want your 5-drops to have like an immediate effect, to get you back in the game, or to be super synergistic or something. You don't want just one big body that's gonna do something if you're attacking, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
5-drops when that say like that are good when you're the one who is attacking, especially with a lot of creatures. They need to have extremely powerful effect. This is not it. This is like a +1/+1 counter.
Yeah.
Play a lot of healer hogs though. There are some +1/+1 synergies, right? Like there is that first strike guy.
There is a few. Yeah, there's the first strike thing, which maybe you can trigger that thing a little more often because you'll put a counter and give your creature first strike at the same time. But yeah, I think that's more of a not going to come up very frequently type situation.
Yeah. Next up, we got Luminous Rebuke for 4 and a white. It's an instant that says destroy target creature, but if it's tapped, you pay 3 less for this spell. Yeah, this is fine. Not bad. Not a bad removal spell. I'm on a like C or C plus for this one. Seems fine.
I would. It's solid C for me. The white is going to be pretty aggressive, right? Just from the looks of it, you're going to be learning to curve out and stuff. So it's going to be a lot worse at the top of your curve when you have to spend 5 mana to remove a blocker. So there's going to be situations you're racing, but ideally you're curving out with white, right? So you're not going to want to cast this until turn 4 or 5.
It does play well with flyers.
Yep, that's true. That is true that you can, kind of shell up and spend, 2 mana on this while you're racing. A solid C for me. It's not quite in the banishing category, but
give it a C from me as well. It's just like this same spell in Duskmourn has really overperformed for me.
Yeah, it's a lot better than I thought it was going to be initially too.
I thought it was going to be just whatever, just kind of whatever. But it is a pretty high power level set. But it's also that I mean, it's not like removal spells become like the same removal spell is gonna be, if it's normally costed, it's gonna be similar in a high power level set and in a lower power level set, right? It's a removal, right?
Yeah, it depends on what exactly you're trying to remove and why. So like to me, this set is a little bit underpowered, and the creatures aren't. It feels like it's gonna be a lot more about curving out, having spells like to continue the curve and stuff like that, and the games aren't going to end super quick. That's my assumption. I think white is an exception. I think white is going to try to end games early, at least put their opponents in the position not. So like this is not exactly on plan for what I would want. Like the white deck seems like it's going to win with flyers and outsizing the opponent's creatures rather than with +1/+1 counters, the savior and whatnot. So ideally, you're not like this doesn't seem like it's plan A for white at all, which is why I'm lowering it a little bit, giving it the C instead of like a C+ or a B-. But I still think it's you're gonna need removal. There's gonna be powerful creatures. This is 2024, so
yeah, C seems fine for me as well. We are done with white commons. Now we're on to the white uncommons. And first up.
All right, Divine Resilience.
Oh, wait, just like, how does white look to you? Just let's do the uncommons first, and then like have a quick chat about white.
Yeah. I think I need to see the uncommons before I can
yeah
accurately assess that. All right, so Divine Resilience, 1 white instant, kicker, white 2. Target creature you control gains indestructible until end of turn. If this spell was kicked instead, any number of target creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. I'm generally underwhelmed with effects like this. I don't know. This one's tough for me because I don't exactly know how the board states are going to necessarily look to determine. Like, for a card like this to be good, you need your creatures to be able to at least kill your opponent's creatures in combat, right? You need your power to match up with their toughness, and then you can maybe get a 2-for-1 with this, a 3-for-1 with this in an ideal scenario. It's certainly not a bad card, but it kind of just falls into the generic combat trick slot. Like this seems about on par with the other one we saw to me because it has higher upside, but the floor is a lot lower.
I think this is a bad card.
Yeah, it could be. It very well could be, especially in white. Like if this is a green card, it looks a lot better to me because you can win a lot more combats. Like green.
I think. Wait, let me just shut down the door. Somebody's drilling again. I mean, I really, from a combat tricks, and this is a combat trick. Sure, it can save your creature sometimes for removal as well.
Yeah.
I really want them to.
That makes it a little bit interesting, but I generally don't play cards like this myself.
Yeah, I want them. I want my tricks to make me win combats that I wouldn't win otherwise. That's huge part. And this thing is just like it. This is a trap to most new players, right? It's like, oh my god, I'm gonna attack with 5 creatures, they're gonna block with 5 creatures, or vice versa, and it's gonna be like I'm gonna clear their board or something. It is extremely hard to get to even attack with 2 creatures, and they block with 2 creatures that are gonna trade, or they attack with 2 creatures, you block with 2. That is so hard. So like we've had effects with for like 2 mana your whole board gains indestructible, and those have been really bad, usually rares or something. Because it is very hard to get into those situations. Because opponent is... Trades happen, right? But multiple trades happening at the same time, that is very rare.
One thing I will say about this, as opposed to something like a Heroic Intervention, which is a card you're talking about, is that this costs 1 mana to save 1 creature, so it acts as like a Ranger's Guile.
Yeah.
And it's unique. It's unique in that way. But yes, generally the kicker effect is not does not live up to what you would want out of this card. So I think you can actually end up putting it in your deck against, it might be more of a sideboard card than an actual card.
When it feels like, but not just because one time it happened at board set, but then when it feels like, oh, so many their cards are gonna get you into these board states. This with the new damage calculation, this goes around it.
Yeah.
If you're blocking and using this, which is not that good. I'm on a D-.
Yeah, D- is what I was gonna say too. I don't want to give it an F, but yeah, because sometimes you'll not have a combat trick or not have enough spells or whatever, and you want those. Yeah.
It is close to an F for me, which I mean, D- is close to an F.
Yeah,
kind of hard for me to see playing that a lot. Joust Through for white. It's an instant that deals 3 damage to target attacking or blocking creatures, and you gain 1 life. That's not bad for 1 mana. I hate these effects. I hate them. Usually there are 2 mana for...
I secretly love these effects, but I generally draft a lot more controlling and whatnot. So, but I don't think they're good. I just like that they exist. Put it that way.
Oh yeah. I hate playing them because I really don't like keeping open mana when they might not attack. Right, to play against a good player. A lot of the times when this is in the set, it's an uncommon, so it's going to be less likely to see that. But there is a 2 mana removal as well for tapped creatures. It's going to be okay. What if I think opponent has nothing. It's turn 2 or 3. I think they have like a removal spell. Like, what if I don't attack and then I spend their mana? I deal less damage if they don't have it, sure. But I spend their mana, and if they have nothing, that's fine. I'm still ahead because they played nothing. That's the problem that this comes into. Counter spells.
This being only 1 mana makes it a lot better, though. Like, that's why I like these effects specifically. Here's the reason I like these effects. They're much better on the draw, and I like when they design cards that are much better on the draw. And it only being 1 mana, you can genuinely spend your mana in a way in the middling turns 3, 4, 5. In a way that it's not super punishing, right? You play your 3-drop on turn 4 and leave this up and stuff like that. But yeah, like I don't think this is a powerful card or anything. I'm not excited to take this super high or anything, but
I think it's nice because it's 1 mana.
Yep, exactly.
I'm gonna see.
Just 2 mana ones and stuff and beyond are rough.
Am I going higher on this than you? I'm gonna see.
Oh, C? No, C. Yeah. C is exactly where I would have it.
I thought like you talked it up, and I thought I was gonna give it a higher grade because I hate these effects. But for 1 mana, 3 damage is fine. 1 mana, 2 damage, that's what I don't like. It's like then.
Yes, that's very bad. I agree. But this is gonna kill a lot of 3-drops.
Yep.
And that's important for an effect like this.
2 mana, 4, 5 damage. That's also what I don't like. That we've seen a lot.
See, sorry, let me get this in real quick.
Divine Arrow or something for.
All right.
For 2 mana, 4 damage. Do you like that effect?
Oh! I just muted you. Sorry.
It's okay.
What's going on here? What are we doing?
For 2 mana, 4 damage, the Divine Arrow or whatever. Do you like that?
Not a fan. No.
Because it's so hard to keep up 2 mana without messing up your turn, right?
You get too punished.
Yeah, exactly. 1 mana, like you're gonna randomly have it or have a fine turn by keeping up 1 mana. 2 is big deal. It's same by land cyclers for 2 suck, right? I mean, if they're really good cards, it's fine. But it sucks to land cycle for 2. But it's really nice to land cycle for 1.
Exactly. Yep. Yes. it's half the mana, right? It's like
it's still the mana.
Like in this case, 3 and 4 damage is not a huge difference. So
exactly.
Not for twice as much mana, anyways.
Right.
An oldie.
We
got Savannah Lions. 1 white, 2/1. This is not going to be very good.
No.
It's worse than Healer Hawk. Just going to get there's elf tokens, there's cat tokens. It's cool. I like them like paying homage to Magic by having this, but it's you'll put it in your deck sometimes. But it's not going to be great. It's been a long time since 1 mana 2/1 has been good, especially with no abilities.
In the last set, the Boros card, 1 mana 2/1, the Survivor, that almost never was anything but a 2/1, was kind of good because you really wanted to curve out in Boros, and it was basically a Savannah Lion.
Yes, it was a Savannah Lion. The 2/1 thing was a lot more threatening, I think, than
because it gets through a few times and they got to remove it.
A lot more threatening. That was one of the reasons I liked that card was it had it was the floor was that it's a Savannah Lions, but the ceiling was pretty high, and you kind of had to like respect it a little bit in the mid game a lot of the times. If you got 1 or 2 cards early, especially, you're like, okay, well now I have to be concerned that this is gonna trigger because then it's gonna be a real problem.
Yeah, if it attacks 2 times, the third one is like I don't want to like risk it.
And of course, there were some tokens like glimmers and stuff, but there really wasn't that many of that effect. I think there's more in this set, or at least there'll be more. Like there's, I guess there was the rats, and then there was the glimmers and stuff. I don't know. I don't remember it being that hard to attack with it, the veteran survivor, in the first 2 or 3 turns of the game, and then.
But I only liked it in Boros. Like I didn't like it anywhere else.
Yes, yeah. Mostly only in Boros myself, or I mean, I guess Selesnya, but I never drafted it. I drafted it once and was like, never
shit. So what do you give the Savannah Lands here?
I just give it a D. I don't think it's a D- or anything. I'm gonna play it sometimes. I'm not gonna be super excited to play it, but I'll put it in my decks.
Before this, when 2-drops were 2/1s, then this was like, whoa! Now we get a 2-drop for 1 mana.
Yeah,
but also, like, I don't really like white 2-drops on common, so might be fine. But do like a 1-drop, so just a D. It's fine to play, but you don't. I mean, you don't really want it much. Sunblessed Healer. For 1 and a white, we got a 3/1 with lifelink, and with a kicker 1 and a white. When this creature enters, if it was kicked, return target non-land permanent card. I mean, okay, sure. With mana, oh my god. With mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. But why is that a card? Like, your graveyard is only gonna have cards.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why it says card. That seems like a redundant word to me, but.
Yeah, when something dies, it matters if it's a card, but when it gets from the graveyard, I don't get it. Sure, yeah, I mean, 2 mana, 3/1 lifelinker. It can be a 4-drop that gets you something back. Love this. I'm gonna B minus.
Great. Yeah, B minus. Yeah, B minus for me as well. I was gonna say B minus, but I mean, there's not really much to bring back with this in white specifically, but I'd be looking for other colors.
There's like a 1/1 that draws you a card, maybe.
Oh yeah, that's true. You can grind with that. Yeah, that is true. But yeah, this is just great. Like it's going to be great at 2 mana. It's going to be great at 4 mana. You're gonna take this card pretty highly and be happy about it.
Yeah, beautiful card. In a more powerful set with more powerful 2-drops, this would be even better, I think.
Yeah, that's kind of the issue, right? Like this card only gets better when there's better cards to bring back. But oh god, I'm getting my PTSD again. The Pride Mate.
The Pride Mate? All right, we didn't have it since
my Suntail Hawk or my Healer Hawk Pride Mate PT deck that I played in Constructed.
It is limited.
All right, these Pride Mates reprinted for the gazillionth time.
It's limited. It's limited. It's okay. It's different.
Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on it. This is a good 2-drop comparatively to the other 2-drops in this set. There's a lot of life gain, as we pointed out. There's going to be times you sequence this with the 2/3, right? Like you're going to play this after, maybe with another 2-drop,
or 1/1 flyer,
or 4/4 even. Yeah. Healers, like the dream is Healer's Hawk into this.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also the 2/3 Angel common as well that combines with this. There's plenty of other lifelink creatures. This is going to grow in almost every game you play it. Now that is kind of not how this card has been before. There wasn't like a really focused life gain deck with this. At least the first few times it was printed, it was just kind of incidental. Occasionally you'd get a counter on it. But I think this thing is going to grow, and it's going to be probably better than it's ever been in Limited in this set. Where I'm trying to think of how to grade it. I'm probably going to give it it's not quite as good as the other one, the other card we just previewed, which is why I'm struggling. But it's a C+ B- for me, just because of how good it is relative to the other 2-drops and how big I think it's going to end up getting.
I think I'm just gonna be on a B- for this one. White has a problem with 2-drops. It likes to put counters on things, and I think you really wanna have 2 toughness creatures. And this is like the perfect one. Also, the Hawk is gonna be one of the best white commons in my opinion. Highly sought after, so this is gonna be pretty good. You have a 2 you have a couple of common synergies. Like you mentioned the flyer that gains life, but there is also a 2/3 that puts a counter somewhere and it has lifelink. So that's beautiful. Also, there's the 3/3 that gives first strike to the things with counters. So yeah, this is beautiful. Man, it's gonna be interesting with white 2-drops. They're a little bit weird.
It almost seems like they started white by just like saying we're going to put a Johnny's Pride Mate in white, and then they just built everything around that because it synergizes with everything that white's trying to do.
And then it's an uncommon, so it's a little bit harder to do that. But still, great card. I'm on a B-. This is one of the best white 2-drops. Yeah. Next up, we got Resolute Reinforcements for 1 and white. It's a 1/1 with flash, and when it enters, you create a 1/1 white soldier creature token. There's not that much payoff for going white. It's kind of cool with the 2/3.
There's some stuff. Boros is trying to do that, I think, specifically.
To go white? Yeah, I guess Heroic Reinforcements, right? You want to put +1/+1 counters on things. It's not a cat. And it's still a good creature. It's always good.
Yeah, like, relative to the other 2-drops, it's pretty solid. I get like the common 2-drops, but it's not, you know, it's not at the Pride Mate level, not even close.
In a super supported go white set, it's like a C+ at least, but here maybe a C.
Yeah, I'd say C. It's exactly what I would say. I'll be very happy with it in my Boros decks that have heroic reinforcements, and there's. Other than that, I'm probably going to still play it in all my I don't usually cut cards like this, but just because they can be good, you know, they're better than general, you know, grizzly bears, but I'm not that happy with them. I'm not excited to have them and all that. Just to see, where are we here? All right, Youthful Valkyrie, 1 and a white. For a 1/3 flying, when an angel you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Angels are, you know, there's a lot more angels than usual in this set, so this card's a lot better. It's got the whole counter thing. It's gonna survive a lot of combat early, which is really important for the cat, the sovereign, the 2/3 lifelink that we pointed out as the premier 4-drop white common. So it's, I mean, I guess all the other 4-drops put a counter on it anyways, but or at least the angel does, and the 3-drop angel. Yeah,
there are 2 common angels, right?
Yeah, there's 2 commons and then there's more uncommons, I believe. But yeah, I'm going to be very happy to have this card in my white deck because of how just how the game's going to play out.
It works with flyers.
Support it. Your commons mostly all support it, the ones that you actually want to play, and this thing's going to block pretty well if it gets even 1 counter on it. So it'll play nice in the Azorius deck. Yeah, I'm going to be pretty happy with this card. This is not quite Pride Mate good, but pretty close, I think. So I would have it in the same category. I would be taking Pride Mate over this, I think. But they're in the kind of same category. So I would give it a B-.
I have upgraded my Hawk grade to a B-.
After we see more cards, I'm the Hawk is, I don't know what I gave the Hawk, but
a C.
I got to think.
Your PTSD came up.
B- for me.
It's Hawk just seems like every card that we look at that's not like crazy powerful. Every card that we look at, it's Hawk does everything that white wants to do.
This is usually the epiphany I have in my first draft, right? The first time I'm white, I take a heal, I draft my cards. Like, oh, Healer's Hawk would be awesome in this. Okay, well, I'm gonna bump that up way up in my pick order now, realizing that it's enabling everything I'm trying to do. So it's nice to do this and get it done before my first draft.
And there is a pick. There is a freaking pick. So that you don't like, but
yeah, this gears the pick well as well.
A couple of picks make splashing very possible as well.
Yeah, depends on what you like. You kind of don't want to splash in your aggro decks all that much. But it depends on what the structure of your deck is.
Okay, I'm not that high. It's if you play it later, it's kind of whatever. It works with flying, works with counters, works with everything kind of okay.
It triggers a lot though, like the 2/3 fly. I don't know.
Yeah, the 2/3 flyer, the 3/3 flyer, and more of these or more uncommons.
I'm giving.
But I don't know how many of those I'm playing in my deck, so I'm just gonna be on a C, just a regular C, and I can see this card, like depending on how your draft goes, go way up.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Especially if you get multiples.
There's certainly going to be like red-white decks where it's not as good, but I think in like my heavy white decks, this is going to be one of my better cards, or definitely one of my best 2-drops, if not my best 2-drop.
The 2/3 Angel could be really nice.
Yes.
It could be like, especially if you're making tokens and such. It's, I mean, it works well with a lot of things, but it just like makes it so, alongside with the Healer's Hook, which does the same thing for 1 mana, for you to win the race in the air while you're gaining a bit of life. Like that life is really gonna stack up if you are gonna try to win the flying race. All right, next up.
I'm like evaluating this almost as a 2-mana 2/4. I think you're going to trigger it.
Okay. All right. I mean, I can see it being higher.
Maybe I'm misunderstanding how many times it's going to trigger, but I think you're going to play it.
It's also going to be like sometimes you draw it on when you have 3 or 4 mana, and then you're like,
yeah, no, that's true. You're going to draw it on turn 5, and it's not going to be as good.
I mean, even when you draw it,
it's just the 2-drops are just so bad
that is true. The 2-drops are so crappy in white. The thing that I have a gripe with this is when you draw it on turn 3 or 4, when you have 3 or 4 mana, like a lot of times you really don't want to play it because it can start scaling, but you really want to be mana efficient or you want to play something else. Yeah. It messes up your turn. So,
totally agree.
Yeah, last time the Hawk was good was Guilds of Ravnica. That's probably last time that we saw it. And that had Mentor, so it was really nice to give +1/+1 to your Hawks.
You talked me into a C+. It is definitely worse. This is what I struggled with Pridemate. I think the Pridemate is worse than the 3/1 lifelink by a little bit. And but I have the same grade. But this is definitely worse than those two. But I think it's better than all the common 2-drops.
Yeah.
So I'll give it a C+. You said C?
I said C, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this is spicy one. I like. Oh, I like. Core set has a lot of basic cards, but then it has some fun cards that have a little bit more text.
Yeah,
which is what I prefer. What do you think about it? Like that's a huge change of Modern Limited. Cards have so much text, and it's relevant text. It's not like random things that do nothing. It's like it's text that actually you got to think about. Do you like that?
I do.
I love it. It's like
the more complicated the better for limited, and the worse for constructed, in my opinion.
Oh, exactly.
I want things
exactly.
I want things interesting and limited, but in constructed I want them to be nice and simple and not have to like worry about reading every mythic rare 600 times.
Oh yeah, that's true. That is true. But I don't have that problem. It's what keeps me like interested in the game, like even more than I was before. Like usually, the longer I play, it's like okay, I kind of figured it out. Things are adding a little bit, but when you add a ton of things, which is not just straight up power level, right? It's not straight up stat lines. Like in the last few years, it's not like we got now all the 3-drops are 4/4s, now all the 4-drops are 5/5s with text. They are a little bit more powerful, but the stats are kind of kept in check. It's the effects. And I don't know, it's just every time the new set gets released, this one is going to be a bit more fundamental, foundations obviously. But whenever a new set is released, it's like a new game is released. You really got to stop and think what's going on. Experience translates well, but you really got to stop. It can't be like, I know how these cards worked in the previous sets, that's how they're going to work in this one. It's really not going to be like that. I don't know. Do you agree with that? Or?
Yeah, no, definitely.
Absolutely.
You have to reevaluate everything. Like the power level of these sets fluctuates wildly.
Yep.
So you have to you can't just you see that card that was good before. Yeah, well that was 10 years ago.
Or a year ago.
Okay.
Because in a different set with different synergies.
Yeah.
All right, next up we got Cat Collector. For 2 and a white, it's a 3/2. When this creature enters, create a food token. Whenever you gain life for the first time each turn, During each of your
Each
turns,
of your
actually, during
turns.
each of your
Your
turns,
turn.
create
Yeah.
a 1/1 white cat creature token. Now, this thing is this is the uncommon for white, I think.
It is. It is a quite a good uncommon. It's going to play really nice with that Healer's Hawk.
God,
Yet
everything plays
again.
nice with the healer shock, man.
Yeah, the Healer's Hawk is great.
And it's gonna play really nice with the angel. Like it's exactly what you want. You're gonna be getting 3 extra life. The stat line is a 3/2. It's not like a 1/1 or something, which I would expect. In like a
It's weird because like it is a 3/2, but you don't want to get this thing in combat a lot because it's providing you a lot of value in the game. So it of course you're going to play your best game and whatever, but it does it doesn't
1/4
have the
would be
value
better.
of being able to be a regular 3-mana 3/2 and also give you a bunch of triggers. How does this work with lifelink actually? If this trades, do you get a token? You do, right?
What do you mean this trade? This doesn't have lifelink.
So if you let's say you have a Healer's Hawk and you play this on turn 3 and you attack with this and a Healer's Hawk and it trades, you're still going to get the 1/1 token out of it.
Oh yeah. Yep. It sees the lifelink life gain before it dies.
Yep. So you'll still be able to get it in combat, get some value out of it, even in those scenarios, if you're just trying to pressure your opponent.
Yep. Ham would not agree
right.
with this. What I'm about to say. Like if this was a 2/3 or a 1/4, it would be better. What do you think?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Ham. I don't know if he's here. He thinks he's sleeping still. 100.
Yeah, he's usually
100. Sometimes he's awake for the tier list. 100%. He would like nope. He when he sees 1/4 on a 3-drop, he hates it. Even the cards that were like amazing, but because of their effects, like drawing extra cards and so on. He likes some of them actually, but he's like, no, I want to be able to trade.
I've always appreciated a good horn turtle, but yeah, especially for a card like this, like one of its downsides is it's going to die to whatever I think it's called disfigure. I'm going to call it disfigure. It dies to disfigure, dies to burst lightning. So you're going to play it, get a food token, and not get anything out of the deal. And that's kind of how I'm like looking at a lot of cards too. Is if they have 2 toughness in this set, that seems to be a break point. Like the 3rd toughness is really valuable. But as a 1/4, this can block and provide value repeatedly throughout the game, and it will because you will be gaining, 1 life here and there. You have like even that card we talked about that deals 3 to an attacking or blocking creature, gains 1 life. There's a reason for that.
Yep.
It's going to trigger a lot of your cards. And
doesn't trigger on the opponent's turn. This doesn't trigger on the opponent's turn.
That is true. Yeah, you'll have to hit a blocker with that. Yeah. But that is another weird wording for this. The your turn thing. I sort of understand it because it would be way too powerful if you were able to just keep triggering it on both turns.
Yeah.
So I understand why they cap the power level of it because it's still good, but it's a little bit of an obnoxious thing to.
Maybe in Modern Limited it would be both turns. I'm pretty sure it would be both turns. Yeah. What grade do you want? I want to hear your grade first, because.
Oh, my grade. This is. I'm just gonna give it a B.
A B?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want a B, and I can see it to be a B plus. I want to see if you're gonna give it a lower or a higher grade.
No. Yeah, I'm gonna be very happy to have this thing. It's just any card that can contribute to inevitability. It's good at any part of the curve. Is a card I'm very interested in. Like I'm happy to play this in turn 5. I'm happy to play this in turn 3. I'm happy to play and draw this on turn 7. Right? It's got a reasonable impact on the game.
I mean, on turn 5, the worst it's gonna be a 3/2 and a 1/1 that gains you 3 life.
Exactly.
That's exactly. And it can proc more and more. So
yeah, exactly.
I think this is the best white card we saw so far.
Might be.
We gave you the highest grade, right?
I think so. Yeah.
So it better be, or we messed up.
or we're worth it.
Well, let's go to the next one.
All right, we got Dauntless Veteran. White 1/2/2. Whenever this creature attacks, creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. So this is like going back to the timely reinforcements. This is a payoff for going wide, right? It's a 2/2, but when it's taxed, it's going to attack as a 3/3. Boost all your other creatures. The white is a bit prohibitive. You're not going to be able to play this on curve unless you are able to support that mana pretty well. Still good though. The fact that it can't block is a downside for me. The fact that a 3-drop that's going to die to those things. That strikes it down a little bit for me. But and again, being a 3-drop in general, it's a little bit down. I could be wrong about this, but I'm going to give it a C+. It's better than a lot of the common 3-drops, specifically for when you're trying to go wide and stuff. But like in the white decks in general, you are trying to just stack creatures, the savior or whatever it's called, all that stuff. You just want to put creatures in play. So I'll give it a C+.
I'm usually not gonna be minus for this one. I remember Guilds of Ravnica, which was pretty high power level set for its time. The 4-drop that did this was fine. It was nice. It was okay. It was not bad. I think it's gonna be great in this set. Just that again, you have so many white 3-drops that.
That's it. It has to compete with the other 3-drops.
But
which it does. It is good. It's just how much better is it than the common ones that you're going to get a dime a dozen? And
I think it's premium for that. I think this is really good. I think this is really good. By the way, what do you think about the damage changes? That it's no longer gonna be ordered. Like when opponent, just if you guys don't know,
it's good. I think it's more intuitive, and I don't like. I think it's so. I've seen a lot of people complain that it kind of dumbs down the game, and I don't think that's true. You're going to have to really think about your double blocks still, because there's going to be situations you're going to get blown out by the second combat trick. A lot of the times, if you don't double block. I'm trying to think of the exact.
What I mean, you're gonna have to double block, but I mean, nothing changes that. It gives the power to the attacker, right?
But you're still and what people are like, well, it dumbs down the game because the order and blocking and whatever. Like you've heard that, right? That people think that it's simplifying the game.
I don't think so. Like I don't care about it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's simplifying the game. I think it's just making it way more intuitive. Like, and that's a good thing. I don't think rules should be complicated for the sake of being complicated. I think they should be intuitive. And
I hope it opens some design decisions, right? When they do these things, when they remove damage from the stack, all of a sudden they could print a lot of sacrifice effects at instant speed without them being overpowered. So that was really cool, even though everybody hated it. Because damage on the stack is really cool, but sacrifice effects, being able to print those, that's great as well. I mean, I think that's even better. But this thing is just like, the tricks were already bad on the defense, right?
Yeah. If you're on the back, you don't want to be playing combat tricks.
Yeah, but now that's basically the only thing. Now they are worse. That is the only thing I see with a change. Simplifying it for people, for a lot of people, for old players, new players, you would be surprised. Like you know that I do a lot of coaching. I said that already, and people that play for like 10, 20 years. They got a problem with ordering and dividing damage. Like that, they still didn't learn how to do it properly, or they forget they can do that. So this is good for that part, but I prefer blockers. Blockers are already at a disadvantage, right? So a bit.
So you'd rather have rules that favor them?
Yeah. What?
I mean, I agree with that. I like blocking. I wish there was more blocking in Magic like there used to be. I wish more cards were Horn Turtles instead of Warpath Ghouls, like the last card we were talking about. But yeah, again, this goes back to the philosophy. They want games to end. They don't want games dragging on. They don't want the typical limited game to be 30 minutes.
I love the games dragging on.
Yeah,
gives you more decisions.
I like the long-term planning and the more strategic planning rather than tactical maneuvers and stuff. But yeah.
I don't think it's bad. I just hope that makes. I hope that makes them make less creatures that are good on attacks, right? Because
I don't think it'll change. Honestly,
probably not going to change much. But I don't want one repeating again. Fear XL will be one where it was like everybody has to attack. Okay, so B- for me for this one. Next up, we got Twin Blade Blessing for 1 and double white. It's a flash enchant creature aura. Enchanted creature has double strike. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty unique. I had to think about it when I saw this card. I'm still not a fan.
It costs a lot and double white as well. And
it's an expensive combat trick.
And you gotta already have. You need to already have equal.
It feels like a red card to me, which is weird. But
it does. You need to already be trading at least, right, in the combat.
Yeah, you need yes, exactly, for it to win a combat and then provide you value. But also, it is like a way to
make something really problematic.
Right? You do an alpha strike, and your 3/3 that gets through deal 6. It's it's not like a normal team or battle rage type thing. But yeah, it feels like a red card. Especially, it's kind of weird because this card would get better if there was better combat tricks, I guess, to go with it, like in white. If white had, for instance, there's that one white instant that gives a +1/+1 counter and flying and stuff. If that was the card from the last set, jump scare or whatever, it would be a little bit better because you could just get lethal out of nowhere, fly my 3/3, give it double strike, hit you for 10. But the worse that combat trick is with this, the worse this is. Not that I'm like, this is a card I would probably, I don't want to say never put in my deck, but I'm not going to be interested in this.
Same.
It's not what I'm trying to do.
D,
I don't know.
You can put it in, not going to be in the world, just a D.
Yeah, D minus for. I'd probably a D minus for me, but maybe I'm a little low on it. I'll go D minus. You can go D. I just.
You put it on a healer's hawk that already has a pick attached to it.
Well, now we're talking.
Now we're talking. Then it costs 2. It basically costs 2. Yeah. Not great.
Oh crap! I put something in the wrong place.
You can just. We can just
mess something. No, I put something in this place already.
You can undo.
That I put the wrong thing. I think what was the Valkyrie card called?
The
Youthful Valkyrie. No, I did that one. What's
Youthful.
Valkyrie's call? Because I had something. No, that's not it. Maybe it was the Sunblessed Healer. That's what it was. I got it.
It's okay. So you didn't mess up the tier list. It's just the. All right. Just
I messed up my whole listing here. All right. Mischievous Puff, 3/1 flash for a white 2. When it enters, return up to one other target permanent you control to its owner's hand. This is a bad card. It's been a bad card before. It's not unplayable by any means. Like, sometimes you do it. I'm trying to think if there's any decent synergies with it, and I can't really think of any. Like, yeah, you can pick up a Banishing Light that hit a token or something, but
can get back that 4-drop, I guess.
You can get back the 1/1 and draw a card. Like, that's, I guess that's why it's here. I don't know. I don't think that's exactly what it's trying to do. It's 1 toughness is a big downside. It can save your creature, obviously, from removal or whatever. But I don't know. This is just a D for me. I'm not going to be happy about it.
Same.
Not a card I'm going to play every time.
Filler, everybody's like, oh, I'm going to save my creature is dying. Well, when you're keeping up 3 mana, they better use a removal spell, because if they don't, then you got to play it. You can't be like, oh, I'm just going to keep up 3 mana all the time.
Yeah, you just got an inefficient bad creature.
Yeah. So, just a D. Stroke of Midnight for... What?
This is a reprint, right? Stroke of Midnight?
Yep, reprint. 2 and a white. Destroy target instant. Destroy target non-land permanent. Its controller creates a 1/1 white human creature token. Chat is always... There's always a good amount of people in chat that are like, oh yeah, instant speed. This is not even undercosted. It's 3 mana. This is an unplayable card, I think. It's an F. They're gonna... What do you say?
I'd give it an F. Yeah, I'm not going to put this card in my deck.
It's unplayable. The best way to think about it is for me, try to scale these to... So 3 mana destroy target non permanent is pretty good. But try to scale this to the rest of pretty good cards in your deck. And make them all make a 1/1. And then it's like, oh wait, I'm always going to lose every single game, because opponent is going to have like 5-6 1/1s by turn 7. And then, okay, but usually the answer to that is, okay, I am going to make... it is just 1 card, right? But why not 0? Like, why... If you're not going to have 10 of these effects, 20... But how about 0? 0 sounds even better than 1.
Very true.
Because usually the counter is, it's just 1 card.
Yeah. So, like, there are circumstances this would end up my deck, and it's like sealed deck to deal with bombs.
Yeah.
Because I have no other tools, right? Like, that's the only time I would ever put a card like this in my deck.
Yeah. And when you really don't care about it, 1/1 in a sealed deck.
Probably not in this core set, because I don't think there's any cards that are quite that good that I've seen anyways. That I just have to answer them.
And when you have literally no removal, it's like when you don't have the You have other white removal usually. Maybe from a sideboard when opponent is kind of doing nothing except playing that coma or something like that, where you really don't, where they're never gonna be attacking, where you're not gonna be attacking, you're attacking with flyers maybe, and then you gotta kill that one card.
There's
That's
some
always
corner cases where, like you need this effect, but it's better just to put it in F.
it's usually even bad from the sideboard, but
Yeah.
that's where
Yes, it's not ideal. Never ideal.
the thing is also it's like what people like to tell me is, but when they play bomb, it kills their bomb. Well, any removal is incredible card if it kills their bomb, which is not normal in limited to kill their bomb, right? You're not gonna wait until the end of the game. They might not even have any bombs. They might have bombs.
A lot of bombs these days are bombs because they do something when they come into play.
Yeah, ETB, that effect. Yeah, exactly.
So like you've already gotten destroyed by the bomb already, and yes, you're handling it. It means that the game had to been going pretty well for you up until the point they played their bomb, to the point where this card will get you back into the game. And that's just not something that's reliable or going to happen a lot. So just don't put this card in your deck.
Like what I like to say is that bomb that doesn't have an ETB effect already because it needs to stay in play. 6 mana sorcery speed removal spell is garbage, but that does nothing else. But if it kills a bomb, it's amazing. But that's not how the games go. Like I would, if every one of my removal spells kills a bomb, I would only draft removal spells over anything else, right? If that's how it works. But it's not like how many bombs do you get per deck? I mean, if you get so many bombs that you expect opponents to get so many bombs, you don't even have to play removal. Who cares? Like you just play your bombs then. All right, enough of that. Let's go to the next one.
All right, let's go to Angel of Finality. 1 white, 3/4 flying. When it enters exile, target player's graveyard. So it's like a solid rate. 3/4 flyer for 4. It's going to be able to block when you play it, especially your opponent's 3-drops. And it's kind of, flavor text, basically the exile target player's graveyard. That's not going to come up all that much, though there is threshold.
There is threshold.
Like that. So it will come up, but it's not like why you're playing this card by any means. That's just kind of added use. Whatever. This is like a card you're going to play. It's another angel to add to the count for the Youthful Valkyrie or whatever. But the fact that this is slightly, it's a flyer that is, probably up to today's standards for what you'd want for a 4-mana 3/4 flyer that's like a common or whatever. So I don't know. I'd give this thing a C. I'm going to play it. I think it's better than the common because the toughness is way more valuable than the Surveil.
Yep.
So it's a C, maybe C plus.
So why do you think that the flyers, like this thing, if it was printed in original Dominaria, let's say like what was that, like 6-7 years ago, it would be amazing. Why do you think that the flyers that got like a lot more stats, for example, a 3/2 flyer for 4 mana was very playable in Dominaria, and some sets around that time. Why do you think now is different?
The games just don't drag on, and that's kind of where we had the bread theory.
Yep.
For how many years or whatever, and evasion just doesn't matter anymore.
Yep.
It's like you're attacking every turn. You're attacking. Like that's just how the cards are designed, top to bottom. You want your creatures to win combat versus their creatures. You want your 4-drop to be able to block their 3-drop or their 4-drop. You're looking to just hit them for as hard as you can, and that's how the cards are designed, right? Like years ago, a 4-mana 4/4 was a great card.
Yep.
Now it's vanilla, right? And now that's just kind of what the rate is. And so you add flying to this, and it becomes a little interesting because I do think this set's a little slower, like than a typical limited set. This card wouldn't be exciting at all in like Duskmourn because it doesn't add any synergy and add anything to your synergies. This does in this set a little bit, right? You got some angel synergies and flying synergies, so it's got some minor synergies, but it's not really that. It's just you're playing this for its rate, and it's kind of caught up a little bit to 2024 with the 4th toughness. being a 3/4 and stuff, but it's the flying is just not that valuable anymore. You're just attacking every turn. Blocking is impossible. So
yeah, I agree with you. The biggest thing for attacking being better is the ground creatures are not crap anymore.
Yep.
Because these first 3 turns that you have, usually not that many 1-drops, but 2-drops and 3-drops, they're not crap. That they can actually attack. And if they can't attack like before, because they bounce out of 1-3s, 2-3s, and so on, just bounce off each other, then flyers get much better because they actually can attack. So if this is the thing, like when Brad was kind of starting to not be correct anymore, a lot of people were into it and still are into it. And I saw not so much anymore, but before I saw a lot of decks where people just play a crap ton of flyers. And before that was kind of okay, but now you need, if you're gonna attack with flyers, they need to be great, stated like ground creatures at least, or you need really good ground creatures to kind of hold off the opponent's creatures. But because if your flying creatures are attacking them and their ground creatures are attacking you, you'll lose that race. So
yeah, I think I would even go one step farther. I think your cards need to play 2 ways now too. They need to be like the ground creatures. They need to be able to attack and block if you're going to try to win with flying creatures.
Yep.
Because you do need to pressure their life. Like again, blocking is just so bad in today's thing. Like you said, you were talking about Ham and the 3 mana 1/4 is just always bad kind of thing. Which is kind of true unless it's adding a lot of value to the
it's got to add value, of course.
It's a long game. It has to be also like built in a way to win the game if it goes long, which is why we agreed that 3/2 would be better as a 1/4 because as the game goes on, you get a lot of value out of that card because it's not going to die very often. But yeah, like you need to be able to win the races. You need to be able to attack. Like you want your ground creature to be able to block the turn it comes into play, but also attack. And then when the ground does get glutted up, that thing needs to be able to go back and block. Like it needs to be able to, if it's not attacking anymore, it needs to go back to blocking, but it needs to deal some damage early and then be able to also hold the ground. So the flying is just not that important. You're just way more important to focus on stats, raw stats these days than any kind of invasive ability.
If you're thinking about flyers stats, yeah, but also synergies, right? Synergies super important.
Yeah.
Next up, we got. I'm okay with like a C for this one.
Yeah.
C is fine.
I said C or C plus. I can't remember.
If 4-drops were worse in white, probably a C plus, but maybe it's gonna be a C plus in the end. Close out for 3 and double white. Creatures you control get +2/+2 until end of turn. Instant speed, and it costs 1 less to cast for each cat you control. Which is kind of nice. Like if you can make this into, it's +2/+2, so you actually win a lot of combat.
Yeah.
If this costs,
I think it's going to be discounted a decent amount.
Yeah.
There's a lot
That
of
2/3 is a cat. 4-drop. The 2/2 that makes a token 1/1 is a cat. The 1/1 2-drop is a cat.
Yeah. Have that in your deck. Yeah. There's a lot of random.
The life.
One that draws a card.
The guy, the uncommon makes cats. This is, I think, gonna be really nice in white. No matter what your strategy, like +2/+2 is so much different than +2/+1. 1 toughness doesn't win many combats, but if it's super cheap to give +2/+1, it's nice. But +2/+2 wins a lot of combats, and if it doesn't, it's gonna push a lot of damage. So I love this card. I'm gonna be.
I like it. I'm not that high on it because again, I have this rule: if it doesn't trade for a card, like this is going to be hard to use to save your creature or something like that in a more narrow game state. Which is not what you're trying to accomplish with white, but sometimes it happens. It ends up being a dead card in your hand, right? So, while I love the card, it does have its.
I think
the game you're losing, this is not going to help you win.
Yeah. But I think with the way white plays out, with flyers, with tokens that are cats, with with 2 common lifelink creatures.
Yep. When your game plan's going well, this card is going to be great, and it's gonna close the door quick. Yeah.
I think the 1/1 draw card white is gonna be good in any white deck. That might be the premium white 2-drop.
Yeah, no, it's always like Elvish Visionary is never bad. It's just more like,
what are you trying to do?
Yeah, exactly.
I think that card is actually gonna be a C plus in the end. I'm gonna go a little bit crazy and give this a C plus.
C plus. Okay. Yeah, I would. It's just a C for me, but yes, I'm lower on these cards. I'm always going to be lower on these cards than the general consensus.
I think the big deal is just there are Johnny's Pride Mage is a cat. Like there's some uncommon cats, that's nice, but a common cats
Actually,
yeah.
Go. Sorry. I have a bad habit of interrupting people. Go ahead.
The common cats, there's enough. If you make this into 2 or 3 mana, like it doesn't matter if it just makes you trade 1 creature and push damage.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. This is going to look a lot better when it costs 2 or 3 mana, because that means you have a wide board, right? It's the times that if I have to spend 5 mana on this, so like it is true that like you're not going to cast this for 5 mana, because generally will mean you probably don't have that many creatures in play in general, because there's so many. Like there's the 3-drop that makes 2 cats or whatever that synergizes nicely with this. But I wanted to make a point that this card may play out better for you than me, specifically because of one thing. Like I told you, I'm probably going to start my draft with Banishing Light over that 2/3.
Yeah, I'm going.
That's going to branch out. That's going to branch out into a wider, like my picks are going to look different than you from that point beyond, right? They're going to be a little more flexible in the early part, whereas you're taking the 2/3. You're going to take cheap white creature at the cheap white creature because it fits into your game plan with your first pick. So again, like I just always want to hammer this point home that it is like this card could be better for Lolo than it will be for me, and that's fine. That happens. Like,
we don't have a grade on Banishing Light. I think maybe you put it somewhere else. What do you give Banishing Light? A B? I give it a B minus.
Yeah, we both gave it a B minus. I said
B minus. Okay, I'm just gonna write it down.
Yeah.
It's.
I put it there.
The thing, like, it's also the Healer Hoax, right? The Healer Hoax and the 2/3 lifelinker, and being a cat, I think it's just not gonna be hard at all for you to just have a game where you have this in your hand and you're attacking a bit, maybe not trading, and then at one point you have a huge turn, huge swing for 2 mana, maybe 3 with this, and you're fine, right? You let opponent deal you damage to you a few times, but now either you traded well or you dealt a lot of damage to them, because it's gonna be a nightmare.
There's no question. The games you cast this card, it's usually going to be great. It's the games you don't cast the card that are its problems, where it sits in your hand, and you never see that from your opponent, right? You never see when you're like, people always evaluate cards from their own perspective, and they like. This is why I had this come up recently with the new set, where someone was like, "This card is great," and I was like, "Well, I've only had it once, and it was bad for me, and my opponents never cast it and it had been good, but it was one of those kind of cards that only cast when it's good, right?" And
which one?
Kind of with this. It was absolutely obscene for me in sealed deck. The Waltz of Rage is a card in limited that people were trying to tell me it was good or whatever, and it's because the time they cast it, the 1 or 2 times they cast it, it was great. But like I'm saying, my opponents have never cast it and been good, so I just have to assume the card's bad because the 1 or 2 times I had it, it was bad. It was obscene for me in sealed deck, though. Absolutely obscene. But anyways,
all right.
But yeah, like I like to evaluate these cards at their ceiling, but also their floor, right? And this card's floor is, pretty bottom. So while it's going to be absolutely true, it's like Overrun, right? Overrun's the same way. I think that's in this set. We'll have the same kind of.
I do feel like this card's ceiling is like a B.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying like it's gonna be the ceiling is gonna be a B plus in the right situation. I'm not talking a situation. I'm talking about like in the right deck where it's like, oh yeah, this deck.
Yeah. No. Totally agree.
Because I think you don't have to trade that much in white.
Yeah, hopefully not with the flyers and stuff like that.
All right, Blast from the Past on the next one.
Serra Angel. 2 white, 3, 4/4 flying vigilance. The magic card. I don't know, like, so in a normal modern day set, this card would be, kind of curve filler, right? It's okay, like you're gonna play it, but it's not what it was, right? Vigilance adds a lot. It's not quite an air elemental. The fact that it has vigilance, like it gets to block their flyers, generally bigger than all their flyers. But yeah, it certainly hasn't lived up to what it used to be or whatever. And again, there is some the angel synergy stuff, whatever. But yeah, I mean, this is fine. I'm not super excited. I'm not slam first picking this like we have in the past. I think this was a rare at one point even. But you're probably going to play it when you take it. Unless except in the most aggressive white decks. But I don't know. I give this thing just a C.
Yeah, it's not the same like it was before, right? The 4/4 is not that huge like it was before.
Yep.
But before it was like
Side.
it's text to everything, it blocks everything. So and before like it was a 5 mana 4/4 without vigilance flying was great.
Yeah, Air Elemental was great.
Air Elemental
for
was great,
many
yeah.
years.
It was great for, I mean, for a long time. Not the same, not the same. I think I'm on a, I think I'm on a C minus. I don't know how much I want 5-drops in white. Actually, I'm on a C minus with Several Angel. I don't know if I'm crazy wrong. It is so hard for me not to give this a great grade. It is so hard.
Yeah, I know. I know. I may have given a little nostalgia bump myself at a C, but I'm sticking with C. I think it's still like Vigilance is still good.
It is. Before it was before. Yeah.
And it seems like so far, other than rares, it seems like the best 5-mana white card. Though I think we've only seen 2.
But it also doesn't seem like I care about 5-mana white cards as well.
No.
C minus seems fine for a start. We're gonna see where it goes. I'm very interested how it's gonna perform. This one is a super simple card, but I'm very, very interested. It's Sarah's Angel. Alright, next up we got a 6-drop, Guarded Air. It's a 6-mana 1/1, that's it. With lifelink, and when this creature enters, create 2 3/3 white knight creature tokens. This is pretty good.
Another thing with that 3/1, I guess.
What?
The mischievous pop returning this thing is.
Oh! Wait, what does the mischievous pop do?
It's the 3/1 flash that bounces a permanent. That's another
yeah.
Whatever.
The Orzo one is mana value, or it's not power, right? It's mana value.
Thank you, honey.
The Orzhov 3/2.
Yes, it's mana value. Yeah. I think, yeah. It's mana value, that one. There was another card I was thinking of too, but
okay, this is great. This is not Imperial Oath. Scry for 3, like creating 3 tutus and scrying for 3. That is the perfect time to scry. That's why it was so good. It is the perfect time to scry. On 6 mana, when you get 3 bodies, right? So removal is not good against it. It gets you back in the game because you get 3 bodies as well. You can block a lot. This is similar in that, but adding Scry 3 to a card that's, I think 1/1 and 2 3/3s are better than 3 tutus. But adding Scry 3 is like, it's huge. It's huge. It's even, in that kind of late game scenario, it's even better than drawing 1 card, I think.
Yeah, like drawing a card. Yeah, getting the card you want is what you want there, right? Like drawing a card once you draw a land when you have 6 mana.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I mean, you could just draw a card if you want, but
it's very rarely a full card when you draw a land when you have 6 mana. So scrying away 2 lands or whatever and drawing, or digging to that card you really want.
Basically, scrying any land away is like drawing a card. So that's a huge thing. Or scrying any.
I've been a Imperial Oath hater for years, though. Not a hater. Kind of the opposite. I was like I liked cards like Imperial Oath before normal people did, but I also think people overvalued it when they finally realized a card like Imperial Oath was good. So just because of the returns issue.
Also, Neo was a very high power level set.
Yeah.
This one is great. This is great. It is a 6. I'm just gonna give this a B minus in this set.
I'm trying to think of how the games are gonna play out. I'm gonna go lower. I'm gonna go C plus. I think it's could be good. I could definitely be wrong in this, but it is a 6 mana card in a. I mean, it does get a bit of the gold vein bump, I guess. It does make your gold vein picks a lot better. So I'm a little more interested in that, but I do really feel like you're gonna want your white decks to have a lean curve. All the cards point in that direction where you want creatures in play before this, and this doesn't help with that. It ends up with them there. So Yeah, I'll give it a C plus. I could definitely be wrong about this. I could be very wrong. This could be B plus even. This could be just like the premium white and common. I have no idea.
I think the big deal is like the +2/+2 that exists, white having the 1/1 that draws a card, white having a life gain that gets you to a game where you can cast this, the pick being great, especially I think in white, they're being overrun, and also this not competing with any 5-drops or 6-drops in white. Like, it's not competing with anything. Usually I give much lower grades to 6-drops. Even when they're great, they get like some kind of a C grade when they're like really good. Because you can't just put too many in your deck. It's 6 mana you're gonna get late in the game. It's not gonna be turn 6, especially when you're not drawing cards or searching for lands. So, but usually they compete with something. So like, let's say you pick two 6-drops pretty early because they're great. Okay, you're probably gonna get some other 6-drops, and now all of them go in your sideboard, or they replace one. So you're effectively losing a lot of picks if you pick 5-drops and 6-drops highly. But this is really in white. There's nothing it's competing with. I don't care about any other 5-drop and 6-drop in white. So it's gonna be this one, and that's it.
The thing is, I don't know if I want any 6-drops in my white deck. That's my issue. I don't want to. I mean, it's fine if I'm playing this card or whatever, but it's not my plan A to put this thing into play.
I think I'm okay, especially because of the pick.
Yeah, the pick does make it better. That is something that I'm going to have to see how reliable that is. I think white is going to be quite good with the pick, and maybe you do want the top end stuff. I mean, that's another reason to bump some of the mana sinks too, is the pick.
No, if there are not too many.
Oh, that is a good point. You can find that with the that was the card I was thinking.
Did a 3 mana 1/1?
The 4 mana 3/4, right? Finds creatures with power 2 or less.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
So yeah, so if you have like a good pick deck, and maybe you'll play that 3/4 if you have this card to go find it.
The pick also makes the 3/1 worse.
What was the name of the last card? Sorry,
Guarded Air.
The
Guarded Air.
Oh, Guarded Air. Okay, here we go. You give a B-. I'm gonna give it a C+, and likely bumping it.
You know what's funny? Like, I think stupid Heir Apparent Tutu that has no text is gonna be like a C-. Not a D-. I don't know. We gotta see. Because the 3/1 that with Flash, I don't think it works at all with White's game plan. There is basically nothing from enchantments and artifacts to remove. There's the white removal spell, and there's basically nothing else.
It'll work in blue-white. You'll have Essence Scatter, Brinebud Cutthroat. Like there'll be some blue-white flash stuff going on. But anyways,
all right. Let's get on to the rares. We got the. Oh, what do you think about white? From commons and uncommons.
I don't know. White seems good. I have to like really analyze the other colors before I can like rate it against the other colors. But it looked okay. It looked fairly deep for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I generally like since this is lower power, that's something I'm more interested in. If I was looking at that kind of game plan in a more high power set, I'm not super interested in it.
Yeah.
Didn't seem like the cards were, powerful enough for like a normal modern day straight to standard release. But I have a good feeling that white will be one of the better colors.
Same.
Just because of how they design cards these days, and you're going to want to be attacking in this set, I think.
And a little bit of a problem with white, I think, is like, okay, it doesn't have great late game, but that 1/1 that draws a card helps. I think it helps a lot if you're playing a little bit more grindy game.
Yeah.
Usually it's like white needs to have really good, needs to be very good at aggression, because it has, every other color has better late game. But this one seems fine. Alright, we're on to the first crap. Authority of the consuls. For white, creatures your opponents control enter tapped. Whenever a creature on opponent control enters, you gain 1 life. I hate this.
It's funny because I always lose to these cards. People play them on turn 1 against me, and I just get so tilted. I just like play this on turn 1 and curve out perfectly, and you can never block or do anything again. But again, it's one of those cards. It's such like you draw it on turn 3 or 4, and you're like, God, why is this card in my deck?
And a lot of times you draw it on turn 1, and it's why is this card in my deck as well.
I will say that like There are circumstances I will play this card, especially out of the sideboard against like decks that have a lot of haste or whatever. But let's say I get 3 Ajani Pride Mates. This looks a little bit more interesting to me.
Okay, all right. But it's still a full card that you're using. Like I would just play the 2-3 angels with it.
Yeah. So like I said, I'm gonna give it an F, but there are corner cases.
I'm on an F, and yeah, something weird needs to happen for this to not be an F. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, this is an interesting card. Crystal Barricade, 1 white, 1 and a white for an 0/4 wall. You have hexproof. Prevent all non-combat damage that would be dealt to other creatures you control. Cool card, not good. This is same boat as Glimmering Barrier. I think 4 toughness on a wall is just too bad in this set. We are, like I said, we have Ferocious as one of the mechanics, which means a lot of the commons are like 4/2s and uncommons and 3 mana 4/2s and 4 mana 4/3s and stuff like that. If I'm gonna play a wall, it better be able to block common creatures, and this can't even block all the common creatures. And the text is kind of blank. You have hexproof is not a real thing. And the non-combat damage thing is not. This is a constructed plant, right? For like anti-burn type card. So yeah, it's a solid F for me. It's worse than Glimmering Barrier.
Yeah, it is really bad. I guess it's stops red removal spells.
Yeah, burst lightning and whatnot.
So also the one white removal spell, also the green removal spell.
I guess it does stop the bite stuff.
Yeah, the bite, the white deal 3 damage. That's an uncommon, the one mana deal 3 damage, right?
Uncommon, the 1 mana. Oh yeah, yes. The white card, yes.
Turn 1 hawk, turn 2 wall. I mean, why is that good? It's like doesn't. I'm on a D-. I think it stops enough things that sometimes you're gonna play this and the opponent is gonna be like, oh crap, I'm playing Gruul and now my removal, I gotta kill the freaking barricade. So I'm gonna be on a D-.
That's the problem I have with it. Against Gruul, it's not gonna be able to block though. That's exactly what it's for, and it's not going to be able to block their creatures because they're going to be pushing themselves to play 4 toughness creatures, 4 power creatures because of all.
I don't think everything is going to have 4 toughness, 4 power.
Not everything, but most of it will.
Look, you can sometimes move your pick to this after you're done with combat.
Like Crystal Barricade pick deck, yeah.
Yeah, D minus. Pretty. I'm super close to an F. Just sometimes it's gonna be fine. You really need to be like, you need to really need 2 drops in order to play this, but it's gonna be fine. I do like it in the sideboard though.
Yeah, it could be okay.
We can give it an X in the sideboard.
I'll give it the X.
No, just. Sky Knight Squire for 1 and a white. It's a 1/1 Cat Scout. Whenever another creature you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. As long as this creature has 3 or more +1/+1 counters, it has flying, and it is a knight in addition to its other types. Yeah, that's kind of amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. This is a 2-drop that if not removed, it wins you the game. Like if it's not removed, it just wins you the game. It suffers from like, okay, sure, it's not gonna be great late in the game, but I mean, what's 2-drop is gonna be great late in the game if it doesn't draw you a card, right? Like, what, you're gonna play a 2/2 or 3/1 late in the game? You gotta have those, and this one just wins the game. I'm just gonna give it an A- because later on it's not gonna look like how powerful it is. Turn 2, not removed, you win.
Yep, it's like not quite Luminac Aspirant good to me. It's in that category because it's not providing immediate value.
And it buffs only itself, right? So once it's removed, it's like, okay, we're fine. Opponent is fine.
Yes. Yeah. I'm still. This is the only thing I'm off on like where I'm supposed to be putting this. Like, what's a bomb or whatever. I think this qualifies. This isn't the A- is A- B+ is what I would say. I'm not sure exactly where I'm supposed to put it, but I'll go A-.
Yeah, somewhere along those lines is what I was thinking as well.
I think it's very unlikely you'll take an uncommon over this.
Yeah, I don't
The
think I
best
would
uncommon in the set. I think this will be better than the best uncommon in the set.
Like, how many tutors just win you the game if they stay on the board
Yeah.
for like 4 turns?
All right, we got Giada, Font of Hope. 1 white. 1 and a white for a 2/2 flying vigilance. Each other angel you control enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it for each angel you already control. Taps to add a mana to cast angels. Great card. Great 2-drop. This thing's going to wear the pick well. It's going to wear counters well. It's going to pump a lot of your creatures in this set. We have some common angels. Not a bomb by any means. More of a good uncommon, like a good 2-drop uncommon power level card. It's a B+ for me.
B+. Like 2 mana 2/2 flying visions is kind of nice. If you have other angels, you can ramp into angels. I don't think so that it's a B-. It's reliant on what the other things you're gonna do. It's pretty good though. I think it's a B+ though. I think it's just like B or a B-. I'm gonna just start it as a B-. It's good. It's pretty good. It is really good. I think it's better than the Healer's Hook. But not by much.
Yeah.
So just a B-. It's a really nice card. Don't think it just takes over the game that easily. Next up we got Arabo. The first Fang for 2 and a white. It's a 2/2. Other cats you control have +1/+1. Yeah. Whenever this or another non-token cat you control enters, create a 1/1 white cat creature token. That's amazing. It's a 2/2 that makes a 2/2 and gonna make everything else bigger. Every cat is gonna make a 2/2. If this dies, sure. If this dies, it still made a 1/1. This is incredible. I'm just gonna give it a high B+.
I'm much lower on this, I think.
What?
I think I'm lower on this. You need to play another cat.
But if you play this, you still get your 2/2.
Oh! I misread it. Completely misread it. I didn't. I thought it. Yeah, it said other cats you control, and then it was like, oh, okay, so it doesn't trigger itself. Yeah, no, that's great. Never mind. I didn't realize it made its own token.
Completely different. Yeah.
No, very, very good. Wow. Yeah. I would say this is better. It's kind of making me rethink my Giada thing. Like maybe I should put it B because this is better than Giada.
I think it's way better. That's my take.
Well, it's a 3-drop, so it's a little bit like
True.
It's better than the common. Obviously, it's much better than the common because it's just more stats or whatever. But it is like there isn't that many cats, right? I guess there's the whatchamacallit too.
There is the 1/1 cat. There is a
some the draw car cat.
There's
a make this.
There's a 4-drop is a cat. The best cat. The like 4-drop is a cat.
Oh, that's true too. This is really nice with that too.
Yeah.
Really nice with that. Yeah. Maybe I'll even go higher than you then. I might say A- for this as well. I think this is pretty comparable to the other card.
It just needs a little bit help for me to be too much help to be a bomb, but it is crazy. It is crazy good. I think that lifelink card, that card where you make a 1/1 with when you gain life is that just feels like it might be even better. That might be on par with this thing. Because it also makes a food with I don't know. I think it's gonna be similar. I really want to see how both of those are gonna be.
Oh, this is just much more mana efficient and reliable.
It is.
Yeah. You can also find that with the 3/4.
But with a hawk.
All right, Celestial Armor. An equipment for white and 2 with flash. When it enters, attach it to a creature. That creature gains hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Equipped creature gets +2/+0 and has flying. An equip cost of 4. Interesting one. We've had similar cards before, I think, but this is like a very strong combat trick, right? Because it's going to leave something around. It's going to make all your tokens and every little crappy creature you have relevant as the game goes on. It's going to win you a combat immediately. As far as equipment go, I think it's quite good. Not really super mana efficient, but I don't think I'm that worried about that. I'm gonna give this, trying to like compare it to like the other card we just saw. I'll give it a B plus. I could be way off. It could be way better than that. I doubt it's gonna be worse.
Yeah, I mean, you win basically every combat, and then it has flying. And for 4 mana, you're just like, it is a lot of mana for. It's a good a lot of mana for both effects, I think, but for equip and to play it. But it's still pretty damn good. I'm gonna go slightly lower. You're on a B plus, right?
Yeah, B plus. Yeah.
I'm gonna be on a B. I think it's really nice. But also, I think a good amount of creatures you have are already gonna be flying in white. So, but you do have that lifelink 2/3.
Well, so. The creatures that are flying, the +2/+0 is huge. So it's gonna help you win.
Yeah, it's also like, the 2/3 lifelink 4-drop. Like when that becomes a bomb, when it gains flying and +2/+0, right? Like that's a 4/3 lifelink in the air. That's a bomb. Now you gotta kill that. Still a B, because the cost is pretty high, but it's gonna be a great card. I might be wrong, might be better than what I gave it. A Johnny, Color of the Pride for 3 mana, 1 and double white. It's a 4 loyalty planeswalker. For +1, put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature. For -3, target creature gains flying and double strike until end of turn. For -8, create X 2 white cat creature tokens where X is your life total. So you just win a lot of times for 8. It's only 3 mana.
Yeah, that's what...
Doesn't protect itself very well. But it's also only 3 mana. Counters matter. There's a Healer's Hook. It doesn't protect itself, but it's gonna be 3 mana 5 loyalty planeswalker, which is very hard to kill. If you manage to get to 8, you just win.
That's how this card played before. This card always like kind of underperformed for me before, but it's still quite good. 3 mana is so few.
I don't think it's a bomb.
No, I don't think so either.
I'm somewhere around like B plus. I think I'm gonna start it as a B plus.
B plus for me, because I know I'm not gonna, like, if I open a pack with this and like I'm thinking of, you know, what some of the better commons will be that are probably Bs. I'm gonna take this and be pretty confident it's correct. So it'll be a B plus for me. It's not crazy good. It's gonna have, you know, it does require things to be going well a lot of the times, but you can just draw it and win the game out of nowhere.
With flying double strike,
it's a B plus for me, but like much closer to a B than an A minus.
Yep. The thing about it is like it's only 3 mana, so 5 loyalty that can get 1 loyalty every turn. It's gonna at least force them into bad attacks, where you're kind of doing well on the defense a lot of times, because it's not like you just invested 5 mana and you're like, okay, please opponent, don't have a removal for my creature because you're gonna mess me up. You can just double spell with this on turn 5. You can play it kind of early, and then every creature is gonna be bigger. So if they just stack removal into removal, it's gonna be kind of bad. But it is gonna make it very awkward for the opponent, even though you're gonna... If you're attacking well, also, that's huge, right? They can't really attack back, because it's only a 3 mana investment. But it's a great card.
Yep.
Oh. Next one is better.
White. 2 white, 2 flying. Whenever you gain life, put a counter on it. So it's a flying, a Johnny's Pride mate. Whenever you put 1 or more +1/+ counters on this creature, draw a card. This ability only triggers only once each turn. This card is great. It's often just going to come into play as a 4/4 that draws a card, right?
With that 2/3, right? Only with the 2/3, or with the Hawk. Actually, with the Hawk, or is it with a 2/3?
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's any lifelink creature and this, like you play this pre-combat, you attack with your lifelink, you trade it off, whatever, you draw a card, and this thing gets bigger. I don't know. This is certainly way better than every 4-drop we've seen. It's going to completely get out of hand if it sits in play, and I think you will be off. Like I said, you'll often be able to set it up so you're drawing a card off it immediately. It's a A minus for me.
Yeah, it needs a little bit of help, but in the right deck it goes to an AA, probably not A plus.
Yeah.
I'm on an A minus as well. Maybe just an A. It's an amazing card. It's just amazing.
Yes, it's just there's no way you're taking any non-rare card over it.
And it triggers once each turn, so you can gain life on the opponent's turn, right?
Yeah, yeah.
This is huge. This is just incredible. Perfect for white in this format. Bad in white in a lot of formats, but this format kind of perfect. Raise the Past. This is gonna be bad, right? For 2 and double white, return all creature cards with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. It's sorcery.
Oh, what if you get like 10 of those Heir Apparents?
Oh yeah, now they work from the graveyard, and you get 10 of the 1/1 that draws you a card. And
that, right? I don't know how many 1/1s you'll get. You get 10 for each one, right?
10 for each one. Wait, you get 10 for each one.
Don't put this card in your deck.
Unless you have 10 of them. But even if you have 10 of them, how do they all die? I mean, it's like if you have...
They all died because you were losing badly and had a chump block with them. That's what happened.
No, if you have 10, you gain 9 for each of them. Okay, anyways, yeah, it's horrible. Like, I didn't even exactly know what a card does, but raise everything that has like... most of the things that work with graveyard and white on rare are just garbage.
Yeah, this is just a constructed card, a Rally the Ranks callback or whatever.
Yep. F, don't play it. But...
Day of Judgment. I wish they would just put Wrath of God in. Anyways, 2 white, destroy all creatures, a classic.
Classic.
I don't know if you guys have noticed, but white is very focused on having creatures in play.
Yeah.
This card makes it through that is impossible. That said, it is a super powerful effect in the right circumstances. Those circumstances don't happen very often anymore.
Yep.
So it's hard for me to grade these cards because in the right deck, which I think will be rare,
yep,
it is going to be one of your best cards. But in general, it is going to be a bad card that you don't want to put in your deck. So I guess like if I had to give it a flat rating, I would just give it a C. But in a lot of decks, it's going to be a D or a D minus even because you just simply don't want to have this effect in your deck at all.
I kind of just want to give... I'm going to just give it a C minus. And it's exactly what you said, Siggy. It's... In a lot of decks, it is not going to be C minus. It's going to be worse. It's going to be, I don't want this card. But there are times where you can splash double white. There are times. Fixing...
Yeah, there's like... If you're able to accomplish drafting a control deck in this format, then this card will be good. But like a white control deck seems like it's going to be hard with the cards.
Yeah, even white blue.
It's maybe not that hard. You play like the Elvish Visionaries. You play Vanishing Light. You play the Destroy Tap Creature, and that's kind of your support color. And then this is part of that. And then you're playing a lot of blue cards or a lot of black cards or something in that. But yeah, I don't like think that's like a good thing to try to do. I don't think you should be first picking this card trying to accomplish that. You might see this later in the draft, and you already kind of are in the direction where you can accomplish that, and then you want this card. But other than that, you're not going to be taking this early. So.
Yeah, the thing is, even white blue, you're kind of into playing those flyers and killing the opponent with those.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, doesn't really work well in white. Next up, we got Valkyrie's Call. For 3 and double white is an enchantment. Whenever a non-token, non-angel creature you control dies, return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control with a +1/+1 counter on it. It has flying and is an angel in addition to its other types. Wait a second. That's actually good. I think it is.
This is a tough one because the effect's pretty powerful. The fact that some percentage of your creatures are going to be angels makes it a little less appealing to me.
I don't think you need to have angels once you get this. I think you can just kind of say, I'm not going to take
Not going to take angels. Yeah, you're saying if this card's good enough, you're first picking it and you're just avoiding taking angels.
Yeah, and you have the second color as well. The angels there.
Yes, yeah.
And white has like good ETBs. The 4-drop, the 2-drop.
Yeah, this might be really, really good because there's not that much incidental enchantment removal anyways to kind of blow it out. It's gonna like combat's going to be impossible for your opponent when this is in play. So, like, if this is the top of your curve, which it should be, it's going to be really difficult if you've drafted with it in mind for your opponent to do anything.
Yeah.
It's still a tough one because, like, on its own, it does nothing. Things need to kind of, like, be working.
You know, I hate 5 mana enchantments that do nothing when they enter, but it really feels like this is not do nothing.
It's definitely not do nothing.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
You're happy triple blocking.
The whole non-angel thing kind of like it tilts me a little bit because there's a lot of good angels in white, both at common and uncommon. So,
is the 1/3 angel cast or enters the battlefield?
Enters the battlefield.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a cool synergy. That's one angel you will play with this, right? It's not going to die that much anyways, and yeah. I'm actually struggling on how to, because I don't think this could be a bomb. I'd have to play with it a little bit.
I'm gonna go with a Timmy grade, but I really feel like this is gonna be a bomb.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like my conservative nature, I want to give it like a B plus, but I think it may end up being like an A or an A minus.
It's also every follow-up creature, right? It's every follow-up creature.
Yeah. Every creature that it doesn't provide immediate value, it seems, but it does, right? Like it makes everything that's in play way better than it was.
You really need to be doing very badly for this to kind of suck.
Yeah, you need to be, have 1 to 0 creatures in play, which is the opposite of what you're trying to accomplish with play. It also combos really well with Wrath of God, just so you know.
Oh yeah, the usual mythic and rare combo.
I'll give it a B plus. Maybe.
I'm gonna give it a B minus. A minus. Sorry. I'm gonna go on an A minus. I love it. I actually love it. Gonna be picking this basically, or anything.
Yeah, if I see it, I'm taking it. It's just I don't know how well it's gonna perform for me.
What do you think about this one?
This is an interesting one. Herald of Eternal Dawn, another angel. 3 white and 4 for a 6/6 flying flash. You can't lose the game, and your opponents can't win the game. I don't know. I don't like it. It's too expensive.
Pretty small.
It's one of those cards that like it can close the game quick. So if your opponent doesn't have an answer, it's not like Platinum Angel, which sometimes couldn't attack into like a random 3/5 reach, and then you're just kind of sitting there waiting. It's going to win combat. It's going to close the game pretty fast. So it has some merit, but it's just too expensive and too kind of flimsy. It feels really bad if you have to hold on for dear life with this thing. You're basically dead on board, and the second this thing is dead, you're dead. But I'm gonna play it. Like if white was
slower,
trying to play a longer game, this would be a little better. But in general, I don't think white is. And this is, you're drawing this instead of another spell earlier in the game. It's not contributing to your plan. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan. It's probably like a C, I guess. I don't know.
What if you draft this? Are you taking the hexproof? Because it has flash, right? So you can play it on the end of an opponent's turn. Are you playing the hexproof boots?
Maybe if the hexproof boots work well with my game plan. I'm not looking to make that combo though.
I'm not trying to make it.
We're limited grinders. We're going to try to do everything that the set has to offer, but I'm not like I don't think that's a winning strategy. Is what I'm saying.
It is like straight up like that. The game is over.
I could be undervaluing this card. These kind of cards are always weird, but it's just so expensive.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it like a C minus because it is 7 mana.
Exactly.
Yeah, an opponent has a long time to find the removal for it, I think.
Well, that's the thing. This one's a little weird in that it is going to close the game quickly, right? It's going to be able to attack and stuff, unlike other cards that we've had. So it's a little bit better, I think, than we've seen.
But 7 mana, still. Jesus.
Yeah, 7 mana is just.
It's very small for 7 mana. I think
it flies, and you don't have to block anymore. That's the idea, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Not a big fan. Not a big fan.
No, neither.
Well, we're done with white. Onto the blue. commons. And first up, you ready to go on?
Yeah, you gotta switch.